Folks, we're back. We're back. There's no happy music today. This is
I
one of those
want to
situations.
dance so bad right now, Rico. After what we saw, there felt like there were so many things that would have led to dancing. And here we are listening to a couple of the smallest violins in the world cueing us in.
Cue us in, baby. This is it, man. What a no, we can't just dance. You just can't.
You can't.
The performance like that? How could you? Let me turn that down because we don't deserve it to be even that loud.
You're right. We don't even deserve music.
Oh my god. Turn it off.
Turn that shit off. Turn it off and let's, a lot to talk about, folks. Welcome in Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel, Week 14 post-game report. The Buffalo Bills lose. Stop me. I mean, how many times have I said this before in my life? The Buffalo Bills lose what will likely go down as the game of the year this season. 44-42, the final. Highest scoring game of the year. Easily the most entertaining game of the year. Maybe the cleanest game of the year when you compare to what actually went down and factor in that neither team turned the ball over. It was a show. And a show, of course, that we leave the theater in tears, much like me seeing Wicked the other night. However, I enjoyed Wicked. I didn't enjoy the final outcome of this game, Rico. There's a ton for us to break down for this game, Rico. A lot of good and a lot of really, really damn bad. Initially here, where are you at? Because this is where I'm sitting at right now, Rico.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me.
Oftentimes, what do you constantly hear in the media? By the time Thanksgiving rolls around, we know what a team is. And we thought we knew who the Bills were. They've given us every reason to think that we know what they are. 7 straight games of dominance, essentially. A couple of bumps in the road there that they were able to overcome. 6 games within that stint there of 30-plus points. And they hadn't lost outside of a 2-game road stretch back in late September. So there was no reason for you to think you didn't know who the Bills were. Today, we are now going into the second week of December, and it felt like, at least defensively, I had no idea who those Buffalo Bills were.
Well, it's funny because we know who the Buffalo Bills are. They showed us today what they're about because we've seen this type of performance happen in the playoffs. We're far too familiar with what Josh Allen can do when he knows the game is on the line and my team needs me. But time and time and time again, the defense doesn't come through. And today was no different. And it was a stark reminder of how much work we need to get done. And it was a stark reminder of the blemishes we have on this defense. It had me looking at Rasul Douglas a little different. It had me looking at DeMar Hamlin a little different. It had me looking at Taron Johnson a little different. And there were moments in this game where I'm screaming at my TV. And I'm sure we'll get into it in this show. But my goodness, there are moments I'm screaming at McDermott. I'm like, why did you make that decision? There are moments that I'm screaming at my screen saying, how is Josh not allowing, time for the fall just to float instead of, there are so many questions I had, but this defense, let me tell you something. On the play where there was a blatant false start, I don't know if you saw it.
Who didn't? Who the hell didn't?
Blatant false start. But here's what irks me. A blatant false start. Listen, if I'm playing ball and somebody fouls me, I'm not going to stop and say, oh, he fouled me and go to the line. I'm still going to try to follow through and try to get the and one. Here comes the flag. You have my guy Von Miller pointing at the lineman to say, hey, he went offside instead of doing his job. Quentin Jefferson didn't hear the whistle. There was no push. You gave Stafford, which is red hot in this game, free reins to throw the foot. Unbelievable. We couldn't tackle today. Tackling was atrocious.
Here's what's crazy, right? And we talked about this before the game, where we had said, on paper, you got Stafford You got Kupp, you got Nakua, you got Kyron Williams. This offense on paper should be one of those offenses, as a fan of the Buffalo Bills going into their house, you should be fearful of. But the Rams go into this game at 6-6, and that offense, despite the personnel, had not given you any reason to be fearful of them. They had not scored more than 30 points once this entire season. They maxed out at 30 in one game this year in late October against the Minnesota Vikings. They had not put out on display an offensive performance like that, despite having the personnel to be able to do it. They had not done that all year. And they're in a game here against a team that's red hot in the Buffalo Bills, winning 7 consecutive straight games. And you would imagine that the way the Bills defense has been playing, that despite what they have in terms of personnel, you could understand backs against the wall for the Rams, right? They're pinned in a corner the rest of the way here if they want any chance of winning the West, especially with the Seahawks winning again today. They're backed into a corner if they want any prayer of making the playoffs. So you know the urgency is there. And you know that they're playing essentially playoff-style football the rest of the way here. You get all that. But to think that a 44-point explosion would be the result of that against the Sean McDermott-led defense that has been a top 10 scoring defense all year, a top 10 defense in the majority of all metrics, a team defensively that even when they've had a bad day have bent but not broken. This thing was bent from the beginning and destroyed and shattered by the time halftime rolled around. And outside of a couple of stops, this defense got absolutely destroyed, decimated. It looked today, Rico, kind of, you want to know this reminded me of a lot? This has got to be what Cincinnati Bengals fans have been dealing with all year long. Your offense on the other side of the ball is putting up unbelievable numbers. You're putting up 35, 40 plus points. Your quarterback is playing Hall of Fame level play out on the field, yet defensively, you erase all that. It doesn't matter. The Bengals have been doing this week in and week out, and as I've watched them and I've talked to Bengals fans, I can't possibly try to step into their shoes in terms of that frustration, knowing that offensively, you're just absolutely balling and it doesn't matter. Today, us Bills fans, we got to get an unfortunate glimpse of what that must feel like, because today Josh Allen becomes the first player in NFL history to score 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns, Rico, and it was in a loss. This defense hasn't looked that bad. I mean, maybe ever. I can't. It would take me a while to have to go back into the archives to find a defensive performance like we saw today.
It was nasty, and I want to echo your sentiments on Josh Allen. Josh Allen not only was a star today,
unbelievable,
with 3 touchdowns in the air, with the 3 touchdowns on the ground. This brother had no turnovers, making the right decisions at the right time, putting the team on his back and running for first downs and doing things that is unheard of. And to boot, he leads the team in rushing. Unbelievable. You listen, you got to give credit to where credit is due. Sean McVay had a plan. The plan was to keep that guy on the sideline as much as we can. And it was indicative with the 38 minutes of time of possession. 38 minutes of time of possession. They kept that ball in Stafford's hands. And I don't blame Coach, because they did not want to give that football back to Josh at the end. Thus, the reasoning for going for it on 4th. Oh! Kills me. Because we know if we got that football back, dynamites.
You want to talk about that sequence right there? I mean, we got a lot to talk about, folks, so strap in. We're only 10 minutes in, nearly 2,000 of you in here. We appreciate you joining us after that type of loss. Although it is these type of moments where it feels like we all need to join together the most, because there are a lot of frustrations to air here on this episode. Do you want to talk about that sequence right now? Do you want to do that later?
All up in it.
All right. So here's the scenario, of course, as you know. The Bills are down by 17 at one point, and now they get themselves into a position where all of a sudden it's a 3-point game because of what Josh Allen was able to do on the football field today. A masterclass of a performance. It is so unfortunate that this will just get looked over because it was a loss. Nobody cares. Did you win the game? No. Okay, move on. Josh Allen quite literally today had a historic performance. He had a performance for the history books. and it was in a losing effort. 42 points on the board, like you mentioned, Rico, the leading rusher, and he was dominant on the ground. Over 8 yards a carry, 82 yards on the ground, 10 carries, 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's a Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley type number. Not to mention 342 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. The dude was absolutely balling. And the defense could not stop a nosebleed, and that's putting it lightly. That is putting it as fair as I possibly can. Despite that, the defense finally gets an opportunity because of what the Bills have done offensively that they had created throughout that game. So it comes down to a moment where the Rams are nearing field goal territory, okay? And it's 3rd down. Stafford rolls to the left side of the pocket. The Bills get the stop, and there's a holding call. And Sean McDermott's got a decision to make. Do we accept the penalty and move them back and repeat the down, which would then be 3rd and 17?
Correct.
Or do we decline the penalty, force them into 4th down, 4th and 7, and leave the decision up to Sean McVay as to whether or not to go for it or kick a long field goal? Let's start there. McDermott decides to accept the penalty, moving the Rams back 10 yards to 3rd and 17. Did you like the decision to accept the flag?
Hated it. And I'll tell you, my wife is watching me. She likes to get me at inopportune times. She caught me yelling at the TV screen saying, decline, force them into a 4th and 7, because 4th and 7 is still a tough position. Take the field goal when you're nice and close. Just decline, McDermott. He accepts. And I understand it. You accept, but here's the deal. Your defense hasn't done anything all day. You accept something like that when your defense is cooking, but your defense was getting cooked. Puka Nakua was all over y'all.
Oh, my God.
Decline that thing. Decline it. And give the ball back to Josh Allen.
So you're under the assumption if they do decline it, McVay does not go for it on 4th and 7?
This is where things get dicey. And I'll let you jump in on this because I don't want to take all the shine here. But
no, go ahead, because it's all part of the decision. Of course, it's all part of the decision.
Here's the thing. So if McVay is sitting there wondering, okay, what is Sean going to do? Now let's put ourselves in Sean's mind here.
Yeah.
All right. Because that's what you got to do. What's Sean thinking? Because I got to make the decision here. Right. Mm-hmm. I'm consulting my guy upstairs. I'm consulting the guys around me, but ultimately this falls on me. What do I do here? All right. 3rd and 17 is a big chunk. So if he's thinking if I move them back, it puts them potentially out of field goal range, or makes it into a very uncomfortable field goal range, right? If they get an incomplete pass or whatnot. I'm thinking of that if I'm McDermott. Then I'm thinking, okay, let's just say they run a screenplay, which I think is going to happen. We stop them. I'm putting them in a long distance situation. But here's the deal. You're dealing with Matthew Stafford. You're dealing with Cooper Kupp. You're dealing with Sean McVay. You're dealing with Puka Nakua. They're not settling for 5. They know who's on the other sideline and Josh Allen. We got to go for big here. Now, that's my thought, and I have more thoughts, but I want you to jump in on what you're thinking. If you're Sean McDermott, 3rd and 17, what's going through your mind? And what do you think is going through Sean McDermott's mind in that moment?
So this, of course, is where hindsight's 20/20, because we will never know what McVay would have done should Sean McDermott have declined that penalty. I liked the decision to accept the penalty.
Okay.
Because you go from 3rd and 7 to 3rd and 17. This is, of course, with the assumption that your defense on 3rd and 17 can find a way to not allow double-digit yardage the upcoming play. All they had to do, Rico, on 3rd and 17, in my opinion, if they allow 7 yards or less, the Rams kick a field goal. And I think McDermott's assumption is it's 3rd and 17. I like my chances of keeping them before the sticks and then putting this team in a situation to then force McVay to make a decision he would have had to make regardless, the same type of decision. So you accept the penalty knowing if we're able to get a stop, they're back right where they were. Or if we aren't able to get a stop in terms of before the or past the let me rephrase this. If we are able to keep them before the sticks, McVay's right back into the situation he was just in. If we're able to get a stop, then they're out of field goal range. I trust my offense at the bare minimum, the way that they're playing right now, to go and get into field goal territory and tie it. You have to think 3rd and 17. I like our chances of keeping them in front of the sticks. The reason why we are even debating this is that this Bills defense could not even keep them from gaining 10 plus yards on a play. So it also makes me wonder, had he have just declined it and then they go for it and get it again, you don't think everyone's sitting around saying, how do you not accept that, and making it a longer attempt for the Rams to try and go and get that first down or get into field goal range? You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Either way, on that play that they convert following this play, that would have been good from 4th and 7, 4th and 5, like it wound up being. It didn't matter. I liked it because it made it harder on the Rams in terms of being in position to kick the field goal. It made it harder on the Rams in terms of getting the first down. It made it harder on the Rams in terms of then having to make their own decision as to what they wanted to do. That right there, Rico, though, was a microcosm of the game. The game came down to you having to just keep the Rams from gaining 10 yards on a single play. McVay is not going to go for it on 4th and 10, 9, 8. I think he probably would have gone for it on the 4th and 7. But I think 8, 9, 10 area, I don't think he goes for it. You just had to keep them from getting about 10 yards. They wound up getting 12. And then it leads into them going for it, of course, on the 4th down. You can sit here all day long and say it was a terrible decision, as many people are saying. But I think we all know that if they just wound up going for it, had McDermott declined it initially and they got it, everyone on Twitter would have been saying, how do you not accept the flag, make it 3rd and 17, and make it tougher for them to convert? That's how I see it. So, Rico, we know what happened. He winds up accepting the penalty. They get the yardage there. It just felt like it was inevitable that they were going to get it when they went for it. Is that how you saw it?
Hold on. And I everything you said, in a way, I would have agreed with it too. Right. Because like you said, hindsight. Right. But here's the flip side. I look at this. Right. Everything is situational. Right. So this is a 4th down play, a 3rd down play that the penalty happens. As you were talking, I went back to look at where the down and distance were and where they were on the line. So it was 3rd and 7 at the time.
Yep.
And they're on the Buffalo 36. The Buffalo 36 at the point. So right now, if you decline it, you got to make a decision from the 36 on what you want to do. So then these boys say, you know what? We're gonna accept that penalty and bring you down 10 yards. These guys go ahead and they convert on what was and this is why I say situational, because at 4th and 7, your playbook is different. Now you're looking for a little short beater, something that gives me right to the sticks or just above the sticks. So, and defensively, you got to call something completely different. 3rd and 17, things different. My package now changes. Now I'm probably in dime defense. Maybe I wouldn't have been in dime defense with 4th and 5 or 4th and 6 or 4th and 7. So that's why I think the play dynamic changes. So, and not only that, timeout happens. So now there's time to think, okay, what are we going to do here? At 4th and 7, decline, get back on the line, let's go. You got to make a quick decision here. You got to make a quick decision. So to me, I'm not saying it's rushed because he probably would have went for it on 4th down regardless, but I think the play call becomes different, defense personnel becomes different, and that changes everything. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like you were saying earlier,
you know what it comes down to regardless? Rico, you got 2 chances to keep them from getting 17 yards, and they could not do it. They could not do it. It was a microcosm of the day. They could not stop anything. Anything. And to your point there, so you said it was at the 36-yard line?
Right? Yeah, I'm looking at 36, I believe. Yep.
So say here right there might be the reason, the mindset why you accept the penalty. Say that they go for it on 3rd and 17, that's an incompletion.
Right.
That goes from a 51-yard field goal to a 61-yard field goal. And we all know how big a difference that might be. That would have made it much more difficult on the Rams. It essentially came down to, I don't think it comes down to the decision to accept or decline the flag. It comes down to the Bills' ability on defense to pretty much just make one necessary play in this game, and they could not do it. All they had to do was keep them from gaining as many yards as they did on the 3rd and 17. They couldn't do it. They had a chance to right that wrong. If they could stop them on 4th down, they couldn't do it. Even if they just allow 7-8 yards, Rico, on that 3rd down, McVay's not going for it on 4th and 9, 4th and 10. They gave up 12 yards. And 4th and 5, that to me is probably, that's right near the threshold, Rico. And the way that they were playing, how do you not go for it on 4th and 5? So I don't think that was a moment McDermott deserves to get clowned on as much as he is. There's another moment we'll talk about later in the game where we could have an argument about that. But right there, Rico, that wasn't so much coaching to me as it was flat out inability to execute on the field.
Listen, no question about that, because once you get past the whole, the decision or not, maybe McVay was going for it regardless of what situation you put me in. I'm going for it because I know what's on the other sideline, right? They converted 11 yards on that 3rd and 17. Then they got another 11 yards to Tutu Atwell. So, when you look at the big gap, 22 yards on 2 plays, no wonder Stafford was averaging almost 11 yards a pop on every throw he was making. It was unbelievable. Defense today was non-existent. And whether the decision was made to push them back, decline, would it have mattered? Probably not. Because the way that these guys were rolling, at one point, I don't know if you realize that at one point, the Rams on the season are a 32% team on converting on 3rd downs. At one point in this game, they were 11 for 12.
Yeah.
11 for 12 and hadn't punted once. These guys could not. It reminded me of the 13-second game where there was no punting. They let Josh Allen, they let Pat Mahomes just up and down the field. And it was reminiscent of that to me. I was like, man, you were going to wait this performance from this super athlete, one that we may not see again in a Buffalo uniform, and y'all messing this up by playing this kind of defense. Fam, it was.
Bro, we had never seen a performance like that in NFL history, much less in a Bills uniform, and they pissed it away. They absolutely pissed it down their leg. And the point you just made, this is why, it'd be honest to God, if this exact game happened next week against the Lions, it wouldn't stun the living hell out of me. The Lions offense has been scoring 40, 50 points pretty much every single week outside of a couple of down weeks. That's what we've come to know from them this season. This Rams offense, you just touched on it. Maybe the worst 3rd down offense in the league. They hadn't cracked 30 points all year long. Rico, in this game, they had 38 minutes of possession to the Bills 21, and the Bills still scored 42 points. 42 points. They essentially scored. I mean, this is the math, and I'm no mathematician. 21 points, Rico, of offensive possession time. They scored 42 points. They were essentially scoring a point every 2 minutes offensively. This Rams offense had more than a full quarter of possession time. They were unreal dominant on 3rd down. Puka Nakua, that was one of the greatest wide receiver performances I have ever seen. It was so good that you completely forget how dominant Kupp was in this game when they needed him to be. You completely forget how good Kyron Williams was when they needed him to be. This would be way different to me, Rico, if the Lions had done it, because you could somewhat expect it or at least justify it. This is a Rams team last week against the damn New Orleans Saints, who fired their coach midseason. They had 0 points at half last week against the New Orleans Saints. This is a Rams team that could not score one single touchdown against the Miami Dolphins. They had 24 points at half. They finished with 44 points in the game. This had just as much to do with how bad the Bills defense was as it did with how great the Rams offense was. And not taking anything away from the Rams offense, because they played terrific. But this Bills defense did a hell of a job making sure that terrific performance wound up resulting in a W.
This loss, it made me realize, and in the fashion that we lost, it made me realize how much this defense leans on Josh Allen time and time and time and time again. Every time. Josh is normally the ones, and this offense, I don't want to just put it on Josh. Josh is normally, and this offense are normally the ones setting the tone, getting up there and scoring and getting up 7-10 points, allowing the defense now to get after that offense. In order to do that, Josh has got to put the points on the board and get this offense rolling. This wasn't the case this time. So we were behind the 8 ball by allowing these guys to march right up the field and score and put 7 on our asses right off the bat. Then we match it. Then that block punt happens. And now you're almost behind the 8 ball twice because now you got a special teams touchdown and you have these guys coming back and trying to put offense on us. There was one point we were down 2 scores. We're like, golly, what is it?
3 scores. 3. And they still wound up finding a way to make it the game that it was. Rico, all they needed, they just had to stop them on that 3rd and 17 and that 4th down. And then they couldn't do it. Buddy. They couldn't do it. And then they let them get in the end zone on top of it. They let them score a touchdown on top of it. Dude, that was you factor in what they did in terms of like Nakua's catch on the sideline there. Like you factor in the amazingness that they did with the ineptness of the Bills defense. I mean, dude, they just wasted away an all-time offensive performance, an all-time quarterback performance. I mean, Rico, if I told you going into this game that Josh Allen would have nearly 500 all-purpose yards, he would have a career-high 6 touchdowns, he would set an NFL record for 3 touchdowns and 3 throwing touchdowns in a game, they'd score 42 points, and they'd lose, you would have to tell me the defense must have had one of the worst performances of all time. That's exactly what happened. I'll
tell you, man. We're so used to having a bit of a balanced offense, and today wasn't balanced. And you got to give credit to what the Rams did to us defensively. It sucks because like at the beginning, you're wondering, okay, what kind of team are we going to face here? What are they going to bring? Because it's nothing to really write home about on that defensive front. Nothing to write home really about what's on this defensive line, the linebacking crew. Nothing. So how are they going to stop Josh and this offense? They stopped the run. They made sure that we weren't going to make them guess, because a lot of times this year we've made teams guess. Are we running the football? Oh, are we passing? Is play action going to work? Play action was non-existent today. Non-existent. Why? James Cook had 6 rushes for 20 yards. They took him out of the game. They made it the Josh Allen game. I said this on my previous show with Bleacher Report. McVay, smart individual. He ain't a coach for no reason. At that age, he's not a coach for no reason. Check this out. This is what they did. This is what he wanted. He wanted Josh to turn into Josh of old. The good thing is Josh has matured so much, he's not going to fall for that. But McVay was like, we're going to take away the run. We're not going to allow them to have that because we're up now. So now he's got no choice but to break glass. And when Josh breaks glass, he becomes sugar high Josh, where we don't know what's going to happen. So guys, stay the course. He's going to give us one. Never did. But here's the problem. We never went back to trying to establish the run because we were just playing catch-up mode the whole time. But had we figured out some way against this defense that's not supposed to be great, I just couldn't fathom how they were able to just take that away from us. And it sucks. 6 rushes? 6 rushes. Josh Allen was your guy for 10 for 82 for crying out loud. So what they did today was made us very much one-dimensional and allowed them to pin their ears back and just go ham. And Josh, as sensational as he was, doesn't turn the ball over, puts over 340 yards passing. Sensational performance, yet we fall with an L. Unbelievable.
Yeah, this is why I've said that I'm more fearful of like the Ravens than almost anybody else in the playoffs, because if you have an offense that can do that, it's either Josh Allen has a career performance or he doesn't in terms of your chances to win. And even today, you could not have had a better performance. The only mistake he had was missing Shakir on that throw over the middle. And it's like, how am I going to sit here and pinpoint on what Allen didn't do in that game when he wound up having one of the greatest performances in the regular season maybe we've seen, right? So when you face a team that has the offensive capabilities of the Rams, you're going to see it next week against the Lions. And if this happens again in succession, then you're going to have a pretty good idea of what this is going to look like come playoff time, and it's not going to be good. The only way that they can take this sour taste out of our mouth is to find a way to right the wrongs next week against a team that is essentially this Rams team offensively, but they execute at a much higher level and been doing so all year long. That right there, if you see that today, I mean, I don't know how often you're ever going to be able to win a football game when your defense gets decimated the way that they did today. You got to understand, if you don't have Josh Allen in that game today, the Bills lose that game like 44-17. The only reason it wound up even being what it was is because you quite literally got maybe the best quarterback performance of the year from Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, and it still did not matter. I mean, credit to the Rams, of course, but oh my God, Rico, I never in a million years saw that coming defensively.
Let me ask you this. What was the problem on defense? What, if you were to look at it, pinpoint the one thing that you noticed that you're like, there's why we lost?
Well, a blatant inability to get after Matt Stafford, it would have to be at the top of the list. They could not touch him to save their life. They could not get anything going on the defensive line. If you were to ask me, like, what would the difference would be defensively in this game, I wouldn't have told you physicality. The Bills got absolutely, like, just dismantled at the line of scrimmage. Completely dismantled. They could run whenever they wanted. They had all the time in the world. I mean, even on that play, on that fourth down where they did end up going for it and getting it, go back and watch it. Matt Stafford snaps the ball. Rico, he's just standing there, just waiting for that underneath route to get open. And sure enough, by the time he was able to wait it out and get enough time to allow the play to develop, wide open. They did not sniff Matt Stafford all game long. And, also when it comes to just the overall defense, the inability to contain the middle of the field felt like it was a real problem throughout the game, too. Just everything in the middle felt easy. The biggest problem to me, though, Rico, was the lack of a pass rush. It was just non-existent today. And then you also factor in the third down situation. The Bills could not come up with any answer, and Puka Nakua destroyed him. I haven't seen a player destroy the Bills defense single-handedly like that since maybe Tyreek Hill back when he was with the Chiefs. Like, that was unbelievable. And he also made a couple of plays where it's like, what can you do? The one on the sideline there, Christian Benford, he could not have defended that any better. There were just a couple moments where you throw your hands up, but they really allowed that offensive line to dominate their defensive line, and it resulted in Stafford doing whatever the hell he wanted all game long. It allowed Kyren Williams. I mean, they didn't even have to run it. They didn't have to rely on it the way I thought they might have to, but he ran it 30 times, and it felt like it didn't equate to 30 runs. The runs that he did have, though, Rico, it felt like they were impactful in the moments where you really needed a bigger stop. So, I don't know. They stuck with it, and it allowed basically what I saw, Rico, from the run game for the Rams. Okay. They kept running the ball just to make sure that the pass game was continuing to be what it was, because it could not be stopped at all.
Balance. That's exactly what they did. They had balance. We did not. We couldn't run the ball because we were playing like they were at the advantage, because they're always up a score or 2 or 3 at one point. So at that point, it's like, let's kill the clock. Let's do what we need to do. And they were doing, this was very similar to what the Bills do, right? How often are we sitting here saying, oh, another screenplay to Shakir, another one to Cooper, another screen? It's an extension of the run game. And that's exactly what the Rams did to us. If they weren't running with Kyren Williams, they were throwing a screen hitch to Puka. They were throwing it to the tight end. They were throwing it to Kupp. They just kept the ball clocked rolling. And you got to give them credit for it. But I'll say this, man. Lack of athletic ability, in my opinion, other than obviously the defensive front, really got us. And we are playing zone, a heavy zone. And the ability for Puka Nakua and Cooper Kupp to be such in lockstep with Matthew Stafford on where to sit in the zone, they ate our zone up all day. More specifically, Puka Nakua, 14 targets to Puka, 12 receptions. He just knew where to be. And the catches he were making, they weren't just sideline on the bro, tiptoe, grab over here, unreal turnaround. This guy was absolutely too much for our defense. But I'll say this, I go back to the defensive backfield. Lack of athletic ability. And you wished someone like Kyer Elam would have gotten it all together and become someone on that team where if we needed to go man, all right, we got someone that can. Because Rasul Douglas, if we dared go man, we're eating up. These guys run routes too well. So we had no choice but to remain in zone, and all they did was eat up the zone. It was just a matter of time where if this defensive front can get some kind of pressure, maybe we have an opportunity somewhere. And near the end, when Josh put the freaking team on his back and started rolling, there was a little bit of juice to the defense. And then we started getting some stops. We're like, it takes Josh Allen to get these boys going. Holy jumpers, here we go. But golly, the lack of athleticism on the back end, DeMar Hamlin being one of them, Rasul Douglas being another. Taylor Rapp had some moments where he's missing tackles left, right, center. The man almost took out his own freaking corner in Rasul Douglas by closing his eyes. And but when you have good receivers on the other side, it frustrates you. It frustrates you like crazy because you know how good this offense can be. Like, what's going to have to happen is we're literally going to say, Josh, sorry, bud, we need you to go for it on fourth down. We need you to go for it all day, every day, because this defense right now, after this performance, I don't know if I can trust him. And here comes McDermott still trying to trust them and saying, for 3rd and 17, let this defense do it. And I'm still irked up on that. You made great points earlier on, you probably would have went for it anyway, regardless. You know what I mean? But it just hurts because you have such a great performance from the offense. You have fans flying all the way to LA to watch this, and then we leave with an L. Oh, that hurts. It hurts. We'll see how it all plays out.
So let's talk about how they did end up leaving with an L. It wasn't just that one decision that McDermott had to make. There was a couple other decisions later in the game, including one that set the Buffalo Bills up to be able to put this game within one score and then potentially allow them to get the ball back and try to go and win the football game late in the fourth quarter. So the Buffalo Bills allowed that touchdown on that drive that resulted in Sean McDermott accepting the penalty. The Rams get 12 yards on third down to make it 3rd and 17 into 4th and 5. They convert, they get it. And then, of course, they wind up going down and getting into the end zone. So now you're looking at the end of the game here, and you're looking at the Buffalo Bills offense once again finding a way to keep them in this football game. They get all the way down the field. They got a couple of penalties to go their way that were legitimate penalties. It wasn't like they got, lucky here. A couple of pass interference calls that went the Bills' way. Maybe the second one you could have an argument with, but the first one, there was no doubt about it. Cooper got interfered with. It puts the Bills down into scoring territory. They wind up getting on the 1-yard line after this drive. And there is about a minute and change left, and the Bills have lasted the entire second half, Rico. They have lasted the whole second half, including this drive, maintaining all 3 of their timeouts. They have all 3 of their timeouts still in their pocket. And they didn't have a great chance, especially knowing what the Rams offense had done to them all game long, but they had a chance. Everyone knows if it comes down to an onside kick, you pretty much have no chance. If you have all 3 timeouts with the ability to stop the opposing team, get the ball back, and you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, you have a chance. So the Bills get down to the 1-yard line, Rico, and after maintaining all 3 timeouts throughout the full half, getting all the way down there, which they had to do, they run the football. They run the football on the 1-yard line. They do not get it.
Correct.
Something really weird about that play, Rico, because they would wind up going and doing that play again on the next play, but they ran it the way that they always run it, where they have Allen under center and he's got like 3 guys behind him. He's got a guy in the back of him and he's got 2 guys to the side of him, and he got in with ease. On the first one, Allen lines up in the gun, Rico. He then goes under center and motions over a guy to go behind him. It was not ran the way that they typically run it. Before we talk about the decision to run it, let me ask you, whose decision was it to run it? Because I'm not entirely sure sitting here right now. It felt a little weird to me the way that play was run.
Okay, keep rolling with this. What are you trying to tell us here?
I don't know. I'm undecided. I have no idea what to make of it. It did not feel like that was designed. I don't know why. Because in that moment, running it makes no sense. And also the way that they ran the play, even if they wanted to run it there and run that play the way that they typically do, why didn't they run it in the style in which they ran it the second time around? Allen goes from the gun to under center and then like half-ass sneaks it without his typical, tush-push design that worked with ease the next play. Do you think that was the call from up top?
That's a great question because I'm sitting
By the
here
way,
looking.
I really don't know. I don't know if
That's
maybe
fine.
Brady already said it. I don't know. I'm just wondering.
We can dissect it. So first things first, did we get too cute? Did they leave it up to Josh? Because at this point, I think Josh has earned enough respect. He's earned enough power in this offense where if he sees something, he can change it. So maybe this was meant to be a disguise to, okay, we're gonna go gun, but I'll figure out what it is, or it might be a quick screen, right? Because I was saying earlier, that quick screen is more, it's like an extension of the run game. So could this have been this quick screen where hold tight, let me see what these guys are doing? Okay, now I see it. Come on in, right? All depending on what the defense was going to give him. Now, did he have enough push? Did he have enough? Yeah, it's one of those things where everyone and their mama knows what's coming. So defensive front, get in there, get tight, and it's mano y mano. We got to win this one. It's unfortunate because we normally 8 times out of 10 we nail that. We nail that. And the fact that we didn't changed everything. And Tom Brady said it. This changes everything.
Of
this
course.
is everything. Because now you had 3 timeouts. Had you got into the end zone, bro, you're getting the ball back with 40 seconds. More than enough time for Josh Allen to do work. But we fall with 2 seconds left. They punt the ball at 0-0. There goes the game. But the decision to run it out of that formation, I think that's all on Josh. It was Josh. If you see this look, you got a full reign to run it the way you see fit. But if you see something else, get under there. You feel comfortable, let's roll. Right? Sometimes it's just a matter of trying to okey doke the defense. Maybe he was going to do that the whole time just to throw them off. Wait a minute, he's in shotgun. All right, everybody spread out. I don't know. Right? But it's a decision he's got to live with. And if that's something that he messed up, or if that was the play all along, then it's just a play that we did not convert on.
Yeah.
We converted on the next one, and the rest is history. But how things could have changed,
yes,
had we punched it in the first time.
Right, and I was just curious because we've gotten right into it. We haven't watched the post-game presser. I'm sure we'll know tomorrow what the mindset was behind that decision. I was just wondering because from your perspective, because from my perspective, the way that they ran it felt so off. When you saw him run it after the timeout, they got into the formation they always get in, where Allen has his reinforcements behind him, and it worked like a charm. He went from being empty in the gun to then going under center and motioning one guy over, and it just felt so all over the place, and it didn't work. So something really weird about it, but regardless, it doesn't matter who called it, who executed it, whatever. The decision was made by somebody, and it was the wrong decision. Mm-hmm. It was the wrong decision. You go all that way. You go that entire half without burning that timeout just to burn it in the moment that you didn't even know you were going to have. You end up giving yourself a legitimate chance to go and make one stop and get into field goal range. And when I say a chance, that's all you can hope for. Because, Rico, the second you burn a timeout is the second that chance dissipates. And that's exactly what we saw. You all felt the same way I did. You all felt the same way Tom Brady did. The second they called that timeout was the second the Buffalo Bills lost the football game. You knew it. Brady knew it in the booth. I knew it. We all knew it. Calling a timeout, Rico, to me, that's the equivalent of just taking a knee. What's the difference? The execution percentage on an onside kick, you got a better chance of going and putting your money on green on the roulette wheel and hoping it lands on green. That's how you hope you end up winning the damn thing. That is not the percentage. That is not the odds you want to set yourself up in that situation, to have gotten all the way down to there, Rico, to do that. Okay, so you do run it, Rico. Get your asses back on the line, no huddle, and run it again. How do you burn a timeout there? Oh my God. There are some things, Rico. Listen, coaching this game is very difficult. It's not easy. I've never pretended like I know anything more than the next guy. I know damn well you don't take a timeout there, Rico, no matter what. Would the Bills have won it, Rico, if they didn't take the timeout? Probably not. But give yourself the damn chance. You already got all the way down there to earn it. And you're going to take the timeout and end the game right there, Rico. Oh, my God. Talk me through it, Rico. Talk me through where you're at.
Well, here's the deal. What it comes down to at the end of the day, too, is there's so much going on with decisions to be made down in distances and so on and so forth, or personnel. I'm just reading something that took place, and to kind of lend into what I'm saying, there was a point where the Rams punted, and I guess one of the questions in the presser was, why didn't you guys at least attempt to block? You'll never understand the response that was given. There wasn't enough men on the field for us to get into punt formation.
They had 9 guys on the field. 9. Once again, can we emphasize, this wouldn't have won or lost them the game. It's just, how are you doing this? How?
It's the little things. It's the little things that add up in the end. And it's unfortunate because when you look at the flaws of this team, I mean, let's keep it real. We all know what the flaws are on this team, but we also know the strengths of this team as well. And right now, Josh is the guy that keeps this thing together, keeps it rolling. But there are moments, man, where it makes you wonder, like, fam, do we have it? Do we have it? Now, are we overreacting? Is this one of those games where, like, fam, we put up 42 points. We rarely allow teams to put up over 40 on us. This rarely happens. This just happened to be a team that had their backs against the wall, and they needed to try anything and everything. And we just happened to be the team that had to be on the brunt of the other end of it. There were things that felt like Puka Nakua catching the ball on the sideline, tiptoed just inside. Like, there's nothing you can do about that. That's just great football. So sometimes, listen, Cass says we're 1,000% overreacting.
Let me answer that.
Jump in on there.
Because it's fair to think that we're overreacting. I don't think Rico and I are sitting here saying that the Super Bowl the window to the Super Bowl just got slammed shut because of today. I think this is a fair reaction. When I just watched the quarterback of my football team put up a performance that they'll be playing in Canton someday, and he winds up losing the football game because the other 11 guys on the opposite side of the field allowed 44 points to a team that hadn't cracked 30 all year, allowed an unbelievable third down conversion percentage to one of the worst teams in the league in that department, a team that got absolutely rolled over in every facet of the game when it came to the defensive side of the ball. This is the frustration that you absolutely have to have within you after you watch what Allen puts out on the field and it results in a losing effort. I think it would be an overreaction to say that what you saw from the Bills today will wind up being the reason why they don't go on and have a successful playoff. You can't hone in on one game and come to that conclusion when they've won 7 consecutive games going into this. But you can 100% be beyond frustrated, beyond pissed off when Josh Allen just puts up 6 TDs on the board, Rico, and you lose. If you're not frustrated after that, I mean, I don't know what would get you frustrated, truly.
I'll say this because it's not about, I'll say this. Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you hear Cass saying, listen, man, you guys are 100% overreacting. Does this give you a reason to worry about when the Bills go to the playoffs, when you have performances like this? Does it make you say, holy crap, I thought this team was far different than I from what I saw today? Was today to you an anomaly? Or is this something that, we might see this mess happen again? So I'm worried. So does this performance today make you worry for when we do hit the playoffs against teams that don't necessarily make errors like today for the Rams?
I think I've been pretty steadfast on what I've thought about these Bills in terms of my concerns for them. And this was one of them. It was if they get in a position where a team that can establish the run early and get a lead on them early, and then offensively can keep pace with Josh Allen, that's where my concern comes from. That's why all year long, despite the Ravens struggles, I have said that's a team I don't want to see, because I don't think that the Chiefs offense right now can do what the Rams just did. I don't think the Chargers offense can do that. The Steelers have showed their capabilities of doing it, but I don't know if they can do it to the Ravens level. I would like the Bills' chances in that game better than the Ravens. It's why when we talked about what's the remaining loss on the schedule for the Bills, I immediately honed in on the Lions. It's not because of Josh Allen and their inability to put up points and their inability to compete. It's because I feel like against a top-tier offense, this is where the struggles might be shown. I didn't think it would be like this, though, Rico. I mean, I understand losing game. Like, I always thought the Bills were going to lose at least one more game. I had penciled that in. I didn't think that their defense was going to allow 44 points and they were going to allow 3 different players to have all-star, really 4. Puka, Kyron Williams, Matt Stafford, they all had major impacts on this game. Yeah, I think today, Rico, you saw that if you can have success on the line of scrimmage, then offensively, I mean, you're kind of set up, because if you can't get after the quarterback, and we're going to see it again this upcoming week. Jared Goff, you saw it against the Packers this last week here. They could not touch Jared Goff. He stood in the pocket all game long, and they just went up and down the field offensively. When you have guys like Puka and Kupp, similar to how the Lions have Amon-Ra St. Brown and they have Sam Laporta, and they have the best running back duo in the league, kind of like how the Rams have one of the better running backs in Kyron Williams. Stafford and Goff's game are very similar to some degree. Yeah, there's some concern there when you can't get after those type of guys who have the weapons to take advantage of not being pressured. 17 is always going to keep you in the game, man. But today was a great example of even 17 with the most amazing performance you've ever seen can't overcome domination like that on the other side of the ball.
Let's also keep this in perspective, because I think we're putting this all on the defense. We're putting this on Josh. And when I say putting it on Josh, meaning Josh is the only. I can't get over the fact that we were not able to run the football today. I can't get over it. The Rams are not a team that historically stopped the ball runner. I mean, weren't we just talking about how Philly that put up 255? He put 255
Yes.
on them. Barkley put 255. Alvin Kamara put 112. How could we not figure out a way to balance and help this team all together? Right? We put the defense back on there, and this is no excuse for the defense because they were poor. But 38 minutes, long drives. Well, these boys are gassed. So this is where we got to find a way to run the football. 6 touches. That's unreal. Unbelievable.
See, but to me, though, don't you think that was because of their inability to establish it based on how many points were being allowed on the other side of the ball? I don't think they had the luxury to continue to try and establish James Cook's day today.
Listen, we were in the same position when we were up against the Cardinals, and we still did not give up on the run. We didn't give up on it. And that was one thing that Joe Brady has done this year, where he doesn't quite, and we applaud him for it, where he doesn't give up on the run. He always tries to establish a run to kind of keep the defense guessing. At this point, they knew he's passing, and if he's not passing, he's taking off. The guy is just an unreal player. Josh Allen's just a freaking unicorn. The guy is nasty that way. But when I look at, we can't run the ball, so that makes us one-dimensional. We can't stop the freaking run. Yeah, Kyron Williams with 29 freaking carries, 29 carries for 85 yards. Bro, they had such balance on that side. They had the defense guessing. Is this a run? Is this a pass? Well, we were sitting here getting gashed.
Yeah. You want to know what though, Rico? You want to know what probably immediate? This is where it flipped. And we're an hour in. We haven't talked about it.
Talk about it, man.
This is where the luxury of being able to do it flips. If you don't allow a blocked kick for a touchdown, maybe Joe Brady gets to establish the run game a bit more throughout the game. Because in that moment, when you fall down by multiple scores that early, in addition to what the Rams were doing offensively, you got to throw out the ability to just, we're going to try to do what we always do, and that's dominate time of possession and run the ball every other snap. I totally get what you're saying, because that's what the Bills want to do, and I thought that's what the Bills were going to do today, Rico, because the Rams, like you mentioned, not good against the run all game. The Bills, terrific on the run when it comes to their offense. I think that right there, the reason they didn't do it today, Rico, it shows you saw it within the game. Why would the Bills not want to do it when they know they're capable of doing it? I don't think they had the luxury of doing it today, because they saw on the other side of things. I mean, how often today, Rico, did the Josh Allen have to make an insane throw down the field for them to even be in the game? Think about the amount of different plays that the Bills had go right for them offensively to even keep them in this. This took a 40-yard screen pass from Ty Johnson to remain in the game. This took one of the greatest damn dimes I've ever seen to Mac Hollins to keep these Bills in the game. This took one of the greatest throws and catches I've seen all year to Khalil Shakir in front of the pylon to keep the Bills in this game. They did not have the luxury to hand the ball off to James Cook 15 times in this game, Rico. And once again, The best offense is great defense and vice versa. The Bills offensively would have been able to execute what they wanted to do had the Bills defense given them the luxury. They did not do that today.
That block punt.
Oh my God.
That block punt.
And poor Reed Ferguson. I know he's getting rid. Dude, Reed Ferguson has been one of the mainstays of this team forever. It happens, and it happened at the worst possible time imaginable. I mean, you literally never hear Reed Ferguson's name brought up. And let me tell you something. That's a good thing. You don't want to hear much about your long snapper, because if you're hearing about your long snapper, there's probably a damn shit reason for it. It was a bad play. It was a bad play. And unfortunately, the Bills could not afford a bad play today outside of what they were putting out there on defense. And it happened. And it just, you know what sucks, Rico? It wasn't the Bills' day today anywhere outside of 17. And that's what sucks, because it was 17's damn day today. It was 17's day today.
It really wasn't. And this play, and it happened so early, right after the first quarter. Right after the first quarter, we're in the second quarter, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like, ooh, that's awfully close. At this point right here, I was like, ooh, that's a big penetration right there. And I'm like, oh, hell no. And there it is. And I think we had one phase show up and two failed us. And I don't care how you want to look at it. Oh, it's just one play. That one play was the difference.
Exactly. This is a game today, Rico, where you can't just say, oh, it's one play. It's like Bills Chiefs 13 seconds. No, you can't just have the one play. You can't, because the game is down to one play and you messed up the one play.
And that's the deal. We can talk about all the decisions being made, because that play doesn't happen, the whole game changes. Yes. Matthew Stafford isn't a hero, or Puka Nakua isn't, because now it's a different ballgame. But you gotta give credit to that player. Hummel, he absolutely bulldozed Reed Ferguson. And Reed Ferguson is usually stout. This happened to be the day that he wasn't. Now, did special teams see something and it just happened to be that way? It just sucks, because now you got, instead of Josh comes out there. We're 7-7, 10-7 at this point. And we're about to get the, it boggles me, because you're sitting here looking at this play and you're just like, okay, let's settle down. I know how it all goes. The first 15 plays script is out the window now. So now we're about to get into football. Now we're about to play chess, and the block happens. So now you go from 10-7 and playing ball and playing tight, because everybody's got to make sure that they're doing the right thing, and you can't really take much chances when the score is tight. Now you're 17-7. You're like, oh, what's going on? Bills down 17-7. This is weird. 24-7. What the heck's going on? Bro, it got to the point where when you go back and you can do everything you want to look at, we didn't run the ball well. We dropped the football here, or we did. The freaking block punt is the play. It's just what it is. And it sucks. We just got to deal with it. There are a little plethora of little things that did happen during the game, but when you want to look at it, there's a difference. Look at the score, 44-42, right? That game is 42-37. Take away that one, but you can't. That's just the way things go. And what's Mike saying? Mike said, Rico, that's why we didn't run the ball tonight. I mean,
I think that's a major reason. I mean, because the Bills just don't fall down by 10 like that early on here, you know?
But here's the thing too, though. You still have to maintain some kind of balance. And we've said this before, and we've said it multiple times, how there are moments where Brady can be very predictable. Very predictable. And McVay and his staff figured us out of when we want to run the football. So they stacked that box, stopped us on the run, and made us into a team that has to go second and long, third and long. Like Pierre said earlier, man, we had to have Josh break the glass early to put on his cape and say, all right, man, I got y'all now. Oh, man.
So let's clarify something, Rico, because a lot of people in the comments are saying that we are making an excuse for this loss on that block punt.
There's no excuse.
Folks, that was just one pivotal factor. The Bills didn't stop the Rams once. It's not the reason they lost, but it was certainly a contributor, because I think it changed the way the Bills wanted to play offensively. And it also allowed the Rams to play way more loose, having an instant 10-point lead as opposed to a 3-point lead off of a play you don't see happen every week. Once again, back to what I was saying earlier, it was a microcosm of the notion that today was just not the Bills' day for anybody but 17, because they really haven't had a play like that go their way all year, and that happened in a game where it could not go their way. It's not an excuse, The overall point is, in a game where the Bills defense was getting run out of the building all game, when you add the cherry on top, which is the block punt, good luck winning the football game. That's what we're saying. Had that not have happened, then maybe the Bills are in a better position at the end to win it. I don't think either of us are sitting here saying the Bills win. Absolutely if not. That didn't happen, because what do I have in my arsenal to argue that? They didn't do a damn thing defensively to prove that they would have found a way to wind up winning that game. It was just one more thing on a heaping pile of just bad things that stands out in terms of the difference in this ball game. It really set the path for the Rams to dictate the football game throughout almost the full duration of the evening.
What do you say? And I got to read this super chat because it only plays into the question that I have for you. And by the way, Randy Prokes, and this goes to everybody that's super chatted. We will absolutely hit all your super chats, but this is a point that I really do want to touch on because we're talking about the defense and how the defense let us down. Randy, we very much appreciate that super chat. Randy comes in and says, McDermott taking the penalty is one thing, right? Then dropping in soft zone killed me and kept D extra plays. Just made no sense. Your thoughts? Okay, this is perfect because I was going to ask you that question. Then I happened to see Randy's super chat there. There was a lot of tweets, a lot of messages on your social media saying, why are we playing zone? They're killing us in zone. We should start playing man. What were your thoughts if you did see that statement being made? Dude, jump into man, play man instead of the zone because they're killing us in zone. And essentially, it would make sense if one scheme isn't working, switch to another. What were your thoughts on that statement? Because I've seen it multiple times tonight.
When do they ever play man, though? This is a team that is pretty much solely reliant on playing zone. And we can't sit and listen, I understand it. They did not adjust. And you could argue they should, or they should have, of course. They never adjust to man, ever. And I think when you win as many games as you have playing zone, it's tough to get out of it. It goes back to, this used to be the biggest criticism of Jim Boeheim, the head coach of the Syracuse Orange for the longest time. Essentially the godfather of the 2-3 zone. He would never come out of it, Rico. Say the other team, say they were playing, just an example, say they were playing Duke, and they're just on fire from 3-point range, just destroying this zone. Boeheim would never, ever, ever come out of it. He would stay in it no matter what.
No matter what, okay.
The Bills D, you want to know what the problem is? The zone is reliant on getting pressure. They were incapable of getting pressure onto Matthew Stafford. That's what the whole thing came down to. And I personally believe, Rico, when we're looking at the zone coverage, there were moments that it felt like the coverage itself was working, but just an unbelievable play was made or a pass interference was called. They could not cover. If you say you wanted to go man, right? Say you wanted to go man. Do you think man was going to work on Puka Nakua this afternoon? Because when you did have him on one-on-one coverage, he makes the catch of the year on the sideline. When you did have him on one-on-one coverage, they held him every single time. How many pass interferences did Puka Nakua generate this afternoon? 4? So I got to tell you, Rico, we can sit here and talk about that all we want, and I get it. I do get it. I think they were cooked either way because they were making it work no matter what the Bills threw at them.
Let me tell you something. There are things, there are matchups that just don't work out for us. And this matchup today, whether we played zone, whether we played man, this matchup wasn't great for us because you have two receivers that are exceptional in finding the zone and staying in the zone. And you have two receivers that can get open in the man. I promise you, folks, if we switch from zone to man, if you thought we were getting cooked then, we would have been in nasty position to get cooked even worse and for bigger chunk plays. Don't forget, the reason we play these zones is to keep teams in front of us, to avoid having the big play. That's why we play man. We've been burnt far too many times in the past where McDermott has changed his defense up. So we want to keep things in front of us. But what we're susceptible to are the dink and dunks. This team isn't a team that did the dink and dunk. You have Matthew Stafford hitting 10, 11, 12 yards a pop. It was not a good day at the office for the defense. but sometimes it happens.
The dink and dunks also worked a ton too. I feel like we overlook them because of the great plays they had. Like Rico, the touchdown to win it. That was just a quick out to Nakua. And I mean, dude, can we just, like, Bills fandom aside, like, whatever, dude, that man today, Puka Nakua, that man
certified.
Brother, I wish that was Rams versus like Niners or something, because I wish I could have sat back and appreciated that. That dude today, that was unreal, man. That was the best wide receiver performance I've seen all year from anybody not probably named Jamar Chase.
And you hate that it had to be against the Bills. You hate that it had to be against the Bills.
Of course.
The guy was unbelievable today. He was either catching a screenplay, he was catching something on a corner route, on a comeback route, and he's a big guy. He's a big receiver, and he's got soft hands. We just did not have an answer for Sean McVay and this team. And let's not forget, we talk about, and we made some good adjustments. We're known for making second half adjustments. Folks, the Bills put up 21 points in the fourth quarter. We put up 21 points in the fourth quarter to obviously the touchdown and the missed extra point from the Rams. So we made our adjustments. We found our rhythm. Problem is, we just ran out of time. We ran out of time. Had we had more time, this game is a far different game. But here we are.
You know what's crazy too? Just to say,
go ahead.
Like, even Cooper Kupp 5 for 92 and a touchdown, like, that's a hell of a day, dude. I don't even remember it. That's what Puka Nakua did, by the way. Just to put that out there, like, on top of the Bills D just not having a great day, that dude also had an elite day. So it was a real shit recipe for the Bills to get cooked the way that they did.
By the way, shout out to our guy Rev, because Rev, I'll tell you, man, there's been a lot of people asking, "Where's Rev? Where is he? There he is. He's right here." Welcome back, Rev. Now, Rev is saying the adjustments the defense failed to make was to double Puka Nakua. Now, you double Puka, who you're going to deal with. You're leaving somebody one-on-one with Cooper Kupp. And it's not just that. Who's done well when they've done that to the Rams this year is Tutu Atwell as well. Like, they got guys. They got guys. Like, dude, that's why Marcus Robinson. They got guys.
Yes, we talked about it, Rico. This is why I don't understand how the Rams offensively were as shitty as they were going into this game. I mean, when you look at what they have, there really is no reason why they would have the games like they had against Miami or New Orleans. And today you saw why.
And let's not forget, I mean, like, the record of these Rams, I mean, let's not look at the 6-6 record. And we talked about this in our show on Friday. That's 6-6. Don't forget, early in the season, they were without Puka Nakua.
Mm-hmm.
They were without Kupp at one point. Yep. So they were just hanging on dear life until these guys can both come back healthy. And now that you see a healthier team, this could be a very sneaky team going into the NFC. These LA Rams that have a very good opportunity to take that NFC West title with how close things are. So, I mean, I don't even know if the Bears, did the Bears win today or the San Fran
Bears got destroyed. There was a point in the game, Rico, where I think San Francisco had 300 all-purpose yards and the Bears had 2.
Oh, my God, 38-13. Okay. That was a beatdown.
Yeah.
Absolute beatdown.
Speaking of score updates, by the way, it's 6-0 Chiefs. And once again, in classic Chargers fashion, Herbert's doing everything he can, and they're just dropping every ball he puts out there.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
And then the second quarter. Second quarter was 6-0. And here's the thing. Another thing, too, that we've been talking about. Although we took this loss, do you take this loss? And here's a question for you, Fur. This loss, is this a humbling loss? Or is it one of those losses where you're like, you know what? We got big problems on this team, and I'm worried. Because I'll tell you right now, although this performance wasn't the greatest, I don't worry. Because we don't often allow that type of performance ever. Even when we play higher offenses, it's just we just don't give up type of things like this. So does this make you say, I'm not worried, we're fine? Is this a humbling loss that you see? Or dude, look, Herbert's down. That's not good. Yeah. Or are you looking at this, man? I'm not worried. This is one of those moments where it's just for us to sit back and settle. Because before I give it to you, I look at it as humbling. I really did feel that we could win out. This was a definitely winnable game. I do still feel that we can take the Lions and we can beat the Lions. I think we just match up well. And then the rest of the teams, Jets and the Patriots, should be able to. Now, the fact that we lost this game at this juncture of the season, I think it's eye-opening. I think it's gut check. Rasul, you didn't have a great game, right? Benford, solid game, but we had some moments where we could have been better. You look at the defensive front, for crying out loud. We were playing patty cake. We weren't doing anything. We weren't even getting after Stafford. So this to me is more of a gut check. Say, whoa, Josh, normally when he does this, we're usually packing our bags and doing exit interviews. So we don't really have a chance to really deal with him. Now you have a chance to deal with him. He and this offense helped put 42 points on the board. And now he's got to look back at y'all and be like, we got to take a long flight back to Buffalo. And I'm looking at y'all. So I'm hoping that this is a gut check for this defense to know that we can't allow this type of performance to happen again. But are you looking at this like I am? This is more humbling. This is something that these guys will have to take on, put it in the background, and let's just know where we have to get better. How do you look at this loss, aside from all the nonsense that's taking place?
Well, it's 1,000% humbling. There's no way it isn't. To answer your question with just a simple yes or no, yes, this loss is 1,000% humbling because you've been doing what got done to you on the defensive side of the ball. You've been doing that to other teams almost routinely for about 2.5 months. And you've been scoring 30 plus, and your defense has been matching that energy, and it's resulted in domination. I mean, really, outside of the 61-yarder from Bass that it took to beat the Dolphins, every other game for the most part, the Bills have controlled. So yeah, it's humbling without question. Talk to me a week from today in terms of answering your question as to whether or not this is concerning. If the Bills defense does this exact same thing against a team next week that is more than capable of doing exactly what the Rams just did to it, you got some real concerns to have as a Buffalo Bills fan. If Jared Goff and company at Ford Field next week on Sunday afternoon do offensively what the Rams just did this afternoon offensively, you 100% have concerns that are beyond visible when it comes to this Bills team, this Bills defense, and their ability to correct that type of defense against these calibers of offense going into the postseason. Would you not agree?
100% agree. 100% agree. And that's why it's going to be crucial on how we look ourselves in the mirror come next week and how we decide to handle things going forward. Because I'll tell you, man, I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's a tough team that we're going to have to face potentially. I look at what these Chiefs continue to do and find ways to win. Although we've beaten them, we may have to face these teams again. So we need to gut check, clean up our act, because if we're really trying to make that push, at this time in this juncture, at this time, I think it's apropos. I think it's time. That it's unfortunate, but this loss was something that unfortunately could be very helpful for this team for making this run. It's one loss in a long time, but I think that we have a lot on our plate that we can look forward to. But one thing that does concern me though, that pass rush, man.
Well, dude, the concern all year long has essentially been the D-line's ability to impact the game, whether that be shutting down a running back like Derrick Henry, or whether that be getting pressure and shutting down a passing performance like we saw out of the Rams today. Now, next week, Rico, say the Bills, say they still lose to the Lions, but they lose 26-23, and the Bills D made a couple of stops. I'd be more willing to say that today was more of an anomaly than it is a concern heading into the postseason. But if you get shades of what you saw today next week again, how could it not be a concern? Because you know going into the postseason, if you want to win the Super Bowl, you're going to have to beat the Ravens, and you're going to either have to beat the Lions or the Eagles, who are, in my opinion, the two best offenses in the league right now, not named the Buffalo Bills, at least the two best offenses that are going to be in the playoffs. I mean, there's other arguments out there, Cincinnati, what they're doing, but you have got to be able to show that you're going to be able to compete against the top of the league in terms of offense. And let's face it, right now, this year, in regular circumstances, the Bills have played a really solid offense in terms of, let's talk strictly personnel, because it's hard to say the Rams are one of the best offenses in the league when they haven't been this year. But personnel, find me, how it gets much better than that roster from an offensive side of things. This year, they've played the Rams and the Ravens. And in both games, that's when they allowed 30-plus points and did not dictate the outcome of the football game and did not have any answer seemingly throughout the full duration. So that was a long time ago. So it's hard for me to link this game back to that one when that was essentially over 2 months ago. But we have a perfect situation here right now, Rico, where you have 2 weeks in a row against two very similar teams offensively. If it happens in succession, then you have your answer. You know exactly what this Bills D is against that type of offense.
100%. I mean, listen, you hit it on the nail with that. And while you were alluding to that, I got Mr. West coming in saying, "Hey, he's telling us to stop. It's our D line. Our D line is good." He's saying it's our outside linebacker. So I assume Mr. West is referring to Matt Milano being the issue that happened today. Fam, I hate to break it to you, brother. It is more than just the linebacking crew. It's more than the old line. Listen, the D line is more. It was a bad performance altogether from the defense. You're not pinpointing one more than the other. Now, if we want to get into the Milano talk, we absolutely can, because I've seen it multiple times. Yeah, and some folks are saying Matt Milano's not ready. You should have let, Dorian Williams continue to stay in there. Let me tell you something, folks. Dorian Williams did what he was supposed to do in the time that he was in until Milano can come back. Let's not mince any words here. Milano is the better linebacker because what he does in the pass and what he can do once he's completely healthy, what he can do defending the run and getting out the quarterback. Let's not pull any punches. It is what it is. Is he 100% ready? Is he gonna miss a few things? Of course he is, like anybody else does. But this was a total team loss. Defensively, they dropped the ball. All of them, all 11 dudes helped drop the ball. I mean, how many times did we hear Ed Oliver's name? Not until the end, he was starting to get some pressure, but all game long, not a peep. So this was a total letdown from the defense, and it's unfortunate that it happened in this moment, but it's something that we've seen this before. We just got to make sure that it's happened now and we fix it. Now, I do want to jump into Josh Allen. Josh Allen had a presser earlier today, and they asked him a question about the fourth down and the timeout and the sneak. Let's have a listen here. Let me just share my screen here, and you guys have a listen, and you guys tell me what you think about this.
Josh, on the last time you got the ball at the goal line, that was the call to go with the run, because you guys ended up using a timeout there and might have cost you a chance to.
So this was essentially your question earlier.
Yes.
What was that? What was that? So we're about to find out exactly what Josh is thinking.
Stop the clock at the end.
Yeah, I got to find a way to get in.
Did you change that play to line or you got emotion?
No. It's just I try to run the call best as I can. I got to find a way to get in.
Rewind that part.
Did you hear that?
That was very muddled. Rewind that for me.
Yep. Give me a second.
Try to run the call.
Just that last part.
No. It's just I try to run the call best as I can. I got to find a way to get in.
Yeah, you know what? He's never going to tell us whether or not that was him or not. Is he? I don't know. I can't tell there based on what he's saying. Play one more time. Sorry.
He just said, I just got to get in. He's not really giving details. I just got to get in. I got to get in.
No. It's just I tried to run the call.
I tried to run a call.
Best as I
All right. So he's saying that was the call then.
Yeah. I tried to run a call as best as I can and didn't get in. Right. And
again, like, hate losing. You lose by 2, you lose by 100. It don't matter. You're still losing. Offensively, you got to find ways to score before the half and score after the half. So,
you know what? Good point. Because there were moments in this game where the offense looked totally just asleep. Right? We got like 21 minutes of time of possession. There were moments where we gave up the ball 3-4 plays. We're putting the ball back. Yep. I was like, we didn't take the time to really, but I mean, it just plays weren't working and just we're on the same page. There were some balls Josh threw into the ground, but there was some great plays he made as well. It just happens, man. And it sucks when you get a question like, how does it feel when you score 42 points and you fall short? It sucks. Of course it sucks, man. I wanted to win this game. But whether I win by 100 or we lose by 100, it sucks. We lost the freaking game, man. 42 points in 21 minutes is insane. I looked at the play comparison, how many plays the Rams had. The Rams had 74 plays in this game to the Bills 54. And put
No.
42 points.
I'm glad he brought that point up because I think it's gotten lost on me. I think just based on how the ending went in terms of the ability for the Bills to score in the fourth quarter, the inability to score before the half and the inability to score immediately after the half, not only not taking advantage of a double dip, but not getting a single dip. It's a great point he made. So, even one score on either of those drives could have changed things. Rico, they legitimately, as much as they were getting destroyed defensively, they could have gotten a field goal before half and then a touchdown to open the half up, and that would have tied the ball game. That would have been 24-all. Just that situation right there. They got 0 points on either drive.
And here's the thing, because we're so accustomed to the Bills just putting up points, so we're like, oh, that sucks. We didn't get that, but that was crucial. That was absolutely crucial, and he knows it. And I could see it on his face once he was on the sideline. He was like we missed it. Like we know where the commercial's going and you got slow-mo on their face. He knew, I had an opportunity and we did not get what we needed. And then we don't double dip. You know what I mean? Coming back. Oh man, that put a damper on this whole situation, which had to heighten the I guess the emergence that we needed to try to get this points on the board at the end of the day. And we just didn't get enough done, which blows. But I mean, this is the nature of football, man, where any given Sunday things happen and you just gotta roll with it as best you can. And hopefully things materialize defensively, but today just wasn't our day today defensively. Just wasn't our day. And we just got to roll our sleeves up. Next week, Lions we're on the road against the Lions. So, but there's a lot that needs to be done, buddy. A lot that needs to be done. And here we are.
Chiefs just took a 13-0 lead. Justin Herbert, I don't know if he's coming back in the game. So that also is further eluding the Bills in terms of their ability to get the 1 seed. Of course, now the Chiefs will have to lose 2. The Bills will have to lose, or they'll have to win out.
So there's still a lot of football left.
There definitely is.
There's still a lot of football left. Oh man!
Listen, you lose today, but beat the Lions, and you wash it. Because I think a lot of people would have said the one loss would be the Lions. So you lose today, but you beat the Lions. It's a wash. Because I think a lot of people had the Bills losing at least one more, right? Hard to run the table like that. If you're able to do that.
Would you say number 1 seed's out the window? We're pretty much playing that number 2 seed, and we're
let me take a peek. I wanted to look this up. I wanted to get the exact percentage odds. So let's go and take a peek here and see. Let me go to the New York Times simulator and see.
Okay. While you do that, I'm going to take some questions in the chat and see what the thoughts are from what everybody's thinking right now. I got Neil Stanton. What up, Neil? Neil says we have nothing but to blame ourselves for the first C being gone. I don't know what I just read there. We got nothing but to blame. I mean, I think you're saying we have nothing but ourselves to blame in this loss. No question. Defensively, we just didn't show up. And see, for me watching this game and I'm yelling at my TV screen, there are moments I'm yelling at my TV screen and I'm like, golly, like we have moments that we can stop. And in the pregame today, one of the ref that we had today was Wolstad. His last name Wolstad. And Wolstad is known for giving up plays, first downs to penalties. So being penalized and giving the team their first down. The amount of times that we gave the opportunities to the Rams to refresh their downs because of blunders on our end just absolutely kills momentum. We had moments where we were very close on stopping the offense in opportune times, but a freaking flag would negate the good work that this defense would put in. So it was a matter of discipline. It was a matter of lack of tackling. It was a matter of just getting straight up beat. Just a whole bunch of stuff that took place today, and it's rough. It's rough. And how do you dude? You're Josh Allen. You're sitting here having a heroic day. You got to get back on that flight and just sit and watch everybody. That's
so.
Tough.
I was able to pull that up. By the way, I was able to pull up the Bills' percentage chance, according to the New York Times simulator, of making or of obtaining the 1 seed and getting a first round bye. Here it is right here. So they were 48% going into the Rams game. It has now fallen to 21%. So
21%.
the Bills were nearly a 50-50 chance going into today. This is also factoring in the Chiefs beating the Chargers. They're up 13-0 now with Herbert banged up. I'm imagining that isn't going to be completely blown. So this is what you're looking at right now. Hey, it's still a 1 in 5 chance. It's not no chance, but it's certainly less of a chance than they had going into today.
Does Herbert ever stay healthy?
Oh, I know.
Every year there's something going on with this guy. Every year. I feel like there's something going on with this guy. It's crazy to me.
He's coming back in the game. He is coming back in the game right now. Right before half, it looks like Justin Herbert is re-entering the game. I mean, he was down on the ground for a while. He is back in the game, Rico. 42 seconds left in the half, and he is back in the game.
They gave him a shot of something and woke his ass up. So we'll see how that plays out. This play here, man, I gotta play this play, which I was yelling at my TV screen. Okay. First things first, we know he jumps offside. We see it. You know he jumped offside. You can't stop. He's sitting here pointing. This is where you get after him. You got to. This, I can't tell you how much this drove me nuts.
Watch how much time he has on this play. False start or not. Just less. You allowed 44 points. And are we forgetting the 2 personal fouls Josh Allen drew for being as good as he is at drawing personal fouls? And I'll just say it at that. So come on.
No, I don't buy all that. I mean, some folks like to kind of harp on the refs. Yes, they miss calls, but they miss calls for us too. They miss calls for us too, folks. It's one of those things where you just got to deal. You got to deal. It's just what it is, man. Refs are not perfect. They're gonna miss calls. There's some blatant calls that they miss, but here we are. Now there are some plays that you might say, "Yo, man, that's a whole call." Some folks are calling for this play right here. I mean, I hate to bring it up, but I mean, just what it is, right? You got Puka's hands wrapped all the way around, all the way. There's the arm, there's the hand right here, right? This essentially is a touchdown. And what are you gonna do? There's not much you can do. Great play call. Cooper comes across, lineman coming across. He tries to cut back in. There's the block, and he's up. This is the NFL, folks. It's the NFL, man. It's just it's the way the cookie crumbles, man. Shall we get to super chats?
Let's do it.
I hate losing, man.
So do I. You know what?
Oh, man. It takes away all the juice I have, man.
This is why I always say every week when everybody's like, oh, what does it matter what's happening until we get to the end of the year? Because think about how shitty you feel right now. We got to enjoy 7 straight weeks. You got to enjoy when the Bills are rolling because it's days like today that make you realize why you got to enjoy it. Because I feel sick right now. Because, I mean, I got to tell you, I would not feel sick if Allen just kind of played like shit. You know what I mean? I feel like shit because Allen had an all-time performance and they lost to a 6-6 team in the process. If Allen would have went out today, Rico, and he was like 22 of 32 for 215 and 2 touchdowns, it would have been a lot easier pill to swallow. Hey, you can't win them all. The guy had 6 touchdowns, 3 in each category, and they lost. That's why I'm just sickened by that.
Sickening. You can only laugh. You can only laugh.
I know, seriously.
It's not the end of the season. It's not like we're saying, all right, man, pack it up. We're waiting for the off season. Who we're gonna draft? What free agency? Listen, we got games left, folks. We got games left. 4 games left to try to, wrap our season up with a strong ending and go from there. What's Dan Echo saying?
Dan the man is coming in. He's saying hate losing in all caps. Shootouts like that. Gives me playoff PTSD. See, that's what I'm getting at right there with like what I was just saying. Like I would just you'd almost rather lose like you lost to the Ravens. All right, it's over. Get out. It's kind of what Dan's saying here, echoing Dan's statement, no pun intended. Yeah. Bad first half, but Allen offense adjusted, defense didn't. Got to do better in the trenches, both sides. Yeah, the trenches. That's what killed me in this game. I would not have anticipated the Bills getting out physical. It's rare that happens. That is exactly what happened today.
Tough. No, you're not wrong. Dan Echo, appreciate that super chat, brother. Let's jump into Michael Cahan. We will beat Detroit. He's putting his stamp on it. Listen, man. After today's game, let's pump the brakes a little bit. I still feel good. But there's a lot for us to look at because right now Detroit Lions just saw this game and said, "This is the Bills team that y'all are hyping up."
And that's funny because what did we say on Friday? We said if the Lions defense played like if they play like they played against the Packers, against the Bills, that opens the door to do what Allen did today. But if the Bills defense played like they did against the Rams, and then it's basically going to come down to a coin toss, Rico, who wound up getting the last possession to win it. That's what it's going to be. And that, you don't want it to be in that position.
Ever.
The Bills D, like I said earlier, you got a 2-week time span here. Do you want this to be considered the norm? Or do you want this to be considered, we had a bad day? Ball's in your court next Sunday against the Lions.
Ball's in your court. Here we go. Richie Fresh. What's up, Rich? Rich comes in and says, yeah, our defense was trash. We know. But the icing on the cake is McDermott with the yet another brain-dead decision at the end. You accept, put him at 4th and 7 for a field goal. How hard is that? Well, here's the deal. We don't know what McVay would have done. Knowing what McVay knows, he probably would have been going for it regardless. We can only speculate as to what he would have done in whatever scenario he was in. Scenario that we picked was we accepted the penalty, and the rest is history. 2 straight conversions of 11 yards a pop, and there it is. That's Bob's your uncle. That's how it ended in that play, and ultimately ended up in a touchdown. But I know McDermott's getting a lot of scrutiny, but I mean, listen, look at the overall stance on this too is right. McDermott has been known for when he takes his team to the playoffs, offense is never the problem. It's always the defense. Was this an indication as what he's going to bring come playoff time? And some folks are talking about it now. I really hope that he's got the time to clean it up and get these guys their head right, get their head straight, and go from there. But listen, man, that punt block changed everything. It changed everything. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I mean, that's the game. That's football. That's how we roll. Signified No says, I feel like I just watched a Bengals game.
Yeah, for real.
It does feel that way. It absolutely does feel that way. You got Joe Burrow just killing it with Jamar Chase, and the defense just saying, all right, we'll see if we can show up. And it just never played out. It never played out. By the way, Signified Nose has been a member for 8 months. We appreciate that. Salute to you, my G. Koala Bear Khan. What's Koala saying?
Koala is saying Allen should have got the first QB sneak or make a quick pass or hurry and snap the ball to not waste the timeout. Overall, McDermott had a chance to rectify what he did with the accepted penalty, only to force a turnover, 11 of 15 on 3rd down. Shaking my head. I feel like we should talk a little bit more about the QB sneak, because I don't know. I was yelling about it. You were yelling about it. And I think we kind of got off of it onto another topic.
Let's go.
So I guess my question to you is like, how in the world does it get to the point where you actually take that time out there? Like, how do you manage to do that knowing that it's your death sentence? You're writing your own death certificate, taking that time out. What do you think the mindset was?
It's tough because like you hope that the very scenario that Tom Brady and who was Tom Brady's colleague next to him when they're both talking about what's that?
Kevin Burkhardt.
Was it Kevin Burkhardt?
Mm-hmm.
When those two boys were talking about, man, okay, this was gonna happen. Josh Allen's got to do. You hope that Josh and McDermott were on the same page, knowing, okay, let's not burn a timeout. But it seems as though that didn't play in the factor in this, and they were oblivious of it. So it was a matter of, okay, we just don't want to kill much time because we want to give ourselves more time. Yes, you got to nail it the first time. And in Bot's point, why were you not set up the natural way that you normally are? So then when they asked him in the press conference, we just didn't get in. Nah, bro, like don't play us for a fool. And I get it, you're pissed, you lost, but don't play us for a fool. We watch it. We see this all the time. We know your true formation. So what was up with that? We'll never know. Like you say, Bot, we'll never know. But essentially, yes, we should have got in the first freaking time. But let's not also forget, there were multiple times in this game that we got stopped. How many times did we go for it on short, and we got stuffed twice? We rarely do we ever get stuffed. And we get stuffed twice in the game? Tough.
That's why I hated the way that they did it, because it wasn't set up for success. They just rushed into it. You want to know what I didn't get on that play? You have Josh Allen, who had been scrambling on them at will all game. Why not stay in the gun like you initially lined up as? Try to throw the ball and then also give Allen the gateway to run the ball if necessary. You open up your options. You limit yourself strictly to that play working or not working when you sneak it. If you line up in the gun and try to throw it, you give Allen the opportunity to run. you give them the opportunity to score through the air, or you give them the opportunity to throw the ball away and start over again. So that to me was the biggest no-brainer, lining up in the gun and then letting the play evolve. I don't know how you get under center there. I just don't get it.
I think this was a matter of time. They're looking at the clock, and we're trying to roll as much clock as possible. I mean, not lose as much clock, because had he done what you just said, have the ball to be able to have the ability to run or pass or do whatever, you're killing your own time. Whether you get in our clock, get in the end zone or not, you're killing clock. We need as much clock as possible. So let's try to get this QB sneak. Oh, shoot, we didn't get it. Timeout right off the bat. But now you kill yourself on a whole lot of things, because now opportunities go by the wayside. And it sucks, because I wish there was more planning or knowing what to do in this situation. But things are happening so quickly and so fast. You're just like, let's try to get in the end zone. Shoot, we didn't get in the end zone. Okay, what do we do? Timeout. Now we just put ourselves in a predicament. Yeah, it's tough, man. In times like that, I know you get paid a lot of money to make these tough decisions. Late in the game, McDermott, Sean. I mean, Josh has got to know those things too. But in this case, I guess one would say they weren't aligned. Maybe, I don't know. Like you said, man, but that didn't just seem like a true natural push-tush play that we normally do. It was
because you literally saw it, the OG version of it the next play, and he got in by a full yard.
For sure.
So
man. You wonder about that for sure. Koala Bear, great, honestly, great question. And we hope that they learn from this scenario and we come out next week and we don't fall in the same spot. It really blows, man. 11 and 15 on third downs, man. Golly, that's tough. That's tough, man.
And they were batting 100 for almost all of that duration too, up until the end.
Not only that, we're known to be a very good red zone defensive team. These guys converted 5 of 6 in the red zone.
They were
5
like
of 6 in the red zone. Dude, it just wasn't our day. It wasn't our day.
And that's the other thing. It was the Rams' day. Did anything go wrong for them? Like, did anything go wrong for them?
There it is.
The catches that they made, dude. I mean, it was just a brilliant day for the Rams. And the Bills did not have a brilliant day outside of 17. And I shouldn't say just outside of 17, because this is what sucks about this one too. In order for Allen to have a brilliant day, he had to have brilliance around him in order to get him to that point. Dude, Khalil Shakir and Amari Cooper played amazing in this game. They really did. And Mac Hollins, once again, like every week you're getting a big play from Mac Hollins now. And he's making grabs, Rico, that are like first round wide receiver like type grabs, not Mac Hollins special teams guy that you bring in thinking he might be a culture guy type grabs. I mean, the grabs he's making, the one he had against San Fran last week, Allen just ripping that thing up and he grabs it. Crazy. The catch he had today. Yeah, I mean, this offense, I know they couldn't run the ball, but they could do just about everything else, and it still wasn't enough.
He's becoming a reliable target and one of Josh's favorites. So tough. Life with ASAP says McDermott lost us 2 games this year, period. Listen,
I don't see it that way. It's easy to see it that way. McDermott lost 2 plays in this game, or I think 1 play in this game. I think McDermott lost 1 play in this game. And that was the decision to sneak the ball there. And I don't even know if that's entirely his decision. That's probably a Joe Brady and Josh Allen decision. I don't disagree with declining the penalty. I just don't. That team had been going up and down the field. I'd rather take my chances on 3rd and 17 than I would 4th and 7. And just to show you what would have happened had they declined it. Do you need any more proof? Because had they accepted it, they would have just done what they did on the 4th and 5 anyways. Stafford stood there, made himself a snack, waited for the guy to get open, rifled it in, and there you go. So
here's another thing too, right? When you're looking at it saying, do you still trust McDermott? Because this is pretty much what you were alluding to. Richie's asking, do you still trust McDermott? 3rd and 17. I'm gonna say yes. I still trust McDermott. I still like McDermott as a coach. Albeit there are some moments people say, well, what about this and what about that? There are a lot of moments, but there are some moments where we've praised him for being aggressive instead of the conservative. Let me punt it on 4th and 1. Knowing who he's got, we've gone for it multiple times and being aggressive on 4th down. So I do still trust McDermott when it comes to making tough decisions.
Jared,
17.
Yeah. So everyone is saying this. Why are you so convinced Why are you so convinced McVay's not going for it on 4th and 7? He walked out there on 4th and 5 without giving it a second thought. What makes you think he wasn't going to do it on 4th and 7? You're only saying that because it didn't happen. You're only saying that because you have no proof to back up the fact that it would or wouldn't have happened. You're just assuming he wouldn't have done it because that's not what the outcome wound up being. You're only saying that because it didn't work out for Buffalo. Everyone's saying that McDermott's decision to decline the penalty was the reason they lost. Did you watch the other 59 minutes and 58 seconds of the football game? I don't understand how you think that's the moment where the Bills lost the game. They allowed 44 points. And on that play, they gave up 12 yards. So even if they went for it on 4th and 7, that's still a first down. It doesn't matter. And on 4th and 5, compared to the 4th and 7, you essentially got the same outcome. Would they have not have done that? I don't know. I just think it's really convenient to assume that McVay just goes up 2 additional yards, take the field goal.
So what will help with this question is if somehow we get information from the press conference of somebody asking Rams, hey, would you have gone for it no matter what in that situation? That'll put a lot of things to bed if folks really are harped about that scenario, because it's a tough scenario. It's a tough scenario.
I think that's a hell of a question, Rico, that you're asking. I would love to hear if a Rams beat reporter would know to ask that. I think it's a great way to determine whether or not that situation played in the hand of the Rams or not.
Right. And those are things we'll never know until if somebody asks and he explains, yeah, I would have went for it regardless. I'm trying to keep Josh Allen on the sideline. Period, point blank. I'm not even trying to think about it. So, yeah. But I mean, listen, when you have things like this that happen, what the heck are you supposed to do with that? What are you supposed to do?
Dude, this
guy was an absolute monster today. This guy was an absolute monster. Puka Nakua was sends
1-2. You got to be kidding me. Let's see. 1-2. You got to be kidding me.
It was just not a whole lot.
Let's
Second
see.
and 10.
1-2.
God,
you got to be.
Man. We tried, folks. We tried. It just didn't work out for us. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's keep it rolling. With Richie Fresh said, hey, he says you decline. You gotta decline when your D has played like Swiss cheese. Listen, man, we will never know. We'll never know. Defense just decided to choke early in the season and get it out of the way instead of wait until January. Cass comes in and says that. Well, you hope that they learn from their mistakes and go right through and try to win this thing. Listen, man, we are not above taking losses like this. Some folks were saying we're due for a loss like this. We've been winning too much. We've been winning too many games in a row. We're due for a loss. And then let's recalibrate, get back on track, and let's keep rolling. So maybe this is the recalibrate moment where we got to go back to the drawing board and make sure that we're on point and doing what we need to do. Simple as that. Edict. My takeaway for this game, we need a cornerback weapon in the offseason. The Rams have 2 weapons in receivers, and we needed one more cornerback to cover 2 weapons. Douglas is on my milk carton all season. I mean, listen.
Not a good day for Rasul. I just hope he's healthy, but no, it wasn't a good day for anybody. I mean, really, find me the guy who had a good day defensively. I mean,
that's a tough one. I mean, listen, Edict, I get it. Cornerback will be something we will probably address. I don't know. Maybe they like the room that we have. It just was a bad day today. I mean, don't forget, we have Kyrie Elam on the sideline. They don't know what they're going to do with that guy. So who knows, man? Edict, appreciate that super chat. Adventures with Smile says, hey, Ed Oliver still at only 1 sack this year. You want to take this one? What do you want us to say, man?
I don't know. It's just the Bills have been generating pressure. This game that they just you saw when they can't do it. I'm not going to sit here and act like the Bills defensive line has been dog shit all year long. It hasn't. It was bad today. It was really bad today. But it really hasn't been. It's just the problem I have is when it's bad, Rico, it seems to be really bad.
Yeah.
Like it seems like when it winds up being their big hole, it winds up being a hole that costs some football games. The Ravens game comes to mind. This game comes to mind. You saw today, if they're unable to get pressure, they're cooked. So it all depends on the type of game that they're going to have. And they've shown that they're capable of doing it, but today they couldn't, and you saw the outcome. But yeah, I mean, Ed Oliver, You would hope for more, obviously, in a game like today, and it's just nobody brought it to the table. I'm not going to single out any specific person. It was nowhere to be found anywhere.
It was a tough day. Tough day. What up, Mitch? Mitch, the lead robster. He comes in with a freaking huge super chat. Much love, Mitch. We appreciate that. You don't know. You have no idea. What's Mitch saying? He says, feeling good after this loss. Allen clearly MVP. By the way, Bot, we never talked about OSU Michigan.
Yeah, for your sake, Mitch, you're lucky we haven't talked about that yet. But maybe we can talk about that tomorrow on the smoke break.
That's right. He goes, I drove 10 hours through snowstorm to watch Ryan Day lay an egg. At least I'm not a Bengals fan like my bud who went with me. Go Bills. Go Bucks.
Well, Mitch, we didn't talk about Penn State's inability to win the Big Ten championship last night either. So I guess we can call it a wash. Although, oh man, it's funny. I was talking to Mitch and I said, "Hey, Mitch, I literally said to him because he said he was going to the Penn State or the Ohio State Michigan game. I said, Mitch, you're going to have a ball. That game's going to be over at halftime. You're going to be drinking, eating, having a ball. I don't think Mitch or anyone for that matter had any clue what they were going to be in for in that football game. Crazy. Sorry you had to watch it, Mitch, but hey, you can go down knowing you probably saw the worst loss in Ohio State. I mean, it's up there, arguably the worst loss in Ohio State history. So at least you were in attendance for it. Better than not being there, I guess.
Better than not being there. Mitch, we appreciate you, man. Will Gann says, hey, I'm not paying Groot a big contract. I didn't like the Ed Money Groot. Groot never makes a sack on 3-6 big games. Listen, man. Here's what I think about Groot. I think Groot will get his contract with the Bills. I think he's a good player. I think he's a solid player. I think he does what we need to do in defending the run. And I think he can get after the quarterback. Could we get more from him getting after the quarterback on a more consistent basis? But I mean, listen, big-time pass rushers do not grow on trees. You're not going to find a Myles Garrett. You're not going to find a TJ Watt just hanging there just for you to pick, right? At 29 or wherever we picked Groot. So keep in mind, man, I mean, we're always looking to try to get after the quarterback. We're always looking. AJ Epinesa, we got Javon Solomon. Hopefully he leads into that. Von Miller, we hope that the 36-year-old can give us a little something. I'm sure he has his legs underneath him by now. We just didn't get the job done. We didn't get the job done today, guys. That's it. It's so bad. The loss has affected Bot so bad. Him and Kudo. What's his name? Kudos? What's his name?
Tofu. She knew I needed emotional support. How many times have we been live and she's never showed up? And look at her. Here she is.
She read you. She
knew I needed it.
She could smell the sadness coming off of you. What do we got from John Wozniak?
Hey, back to that Groot point real quick. You know what's tough about Groot is he's probably played the best on that line this year. It's just that it's not what you just said, and that's the problem. It's not Watt, Bosa, Garrett, and so that's what gets tough when it comes to deciding about contract. Because Groot has been solid for the Bills all year long, but they've been trying to find that guy, and Groot isn't that guy, nor is anyone else on the team. So that's what makes it difficult. It's almost the equivalent of the quarterback position where it's like, is Tua or Purdy, Josh Allen or Mahomes? No, but they've been good. Now I'm at the point where I have to decide whether to pay him or not. And if I don't pay him, I got to replace the production. If I do pay him, I know the production's not going to be what I wanted it to be. It's a tough spot to be in, but it's the spot that they're in.
So hold on, let me ask you this. So you have the ability to re-sign to a long-term contract.
Yeah.
Are you bringing Groot back or are you letting him walk?
I am. I think Groot's had a hell of a year. I think Groot has earned a contract this year. And 100%. I think out of all the guys on that D line, he's been the brightest spot of them all this season.
Because I'll tell you right now, if Groot were to go down and we don't have Groot, we'd be like, oh, this hurts. It would absolutely hurt without Groot. So that's the way I look at it. By the way, John Wozniak, mortgage specialist. What up, John? How you doing, boss? It sucks. But they had to lose at one point, right? They weren't going to win 12 in a row in a season and then 3 to 4 games in the playoffs to win the Super Bowl. 15, 16 in a row? I still feel good things to come. But he doesn't feel like 15, 16 in a row would have been nice. It would have been nice.
It's funny. I go back to when I said that to you, and then you were like, were like, well, if the Lions go, and then I'm like, oh, I guess I didn't really think about it like that. But that is exactly how I felt, John. Right. And like I said, it's not that I didn't think they were going to lose one. It was the way that they lost. Like I said, if they lost and it was a different type of game, you can swallow it. And I'll also say if they win next week, it makes this game a hell of a lot easier to swallow because I think if you were to survey 100% of the Bills fan base and ask them, hey, the Bills have to lose one game on the remaining of their schedule here, which game do you think it would be? I think many people, I bet you 85, 90% would circle the Lions game. So if you beat the Lions, it washes out the Rams game. But man, oh man, that's a Herculean task for this defense after what we saw them put on display this afternoon.
It's a tough one. I'll tell you this, man. The next super chat coming. By the way, John, we appreciate you very much for that super chat. If you're still listening, Richard Fresh says, "Did we forget the turnover we needed at the end?"
Yeah, I know. It's funny. How about that was another thing too, the Bills' inability. You know what the Bills' defense has been great at, even in games where they're not playing like insanely well, is forcing the one big play. They didn't have the big play today, Rico. That was the difference. Even in the games where the Bills' defense, outside of the Ravens game, even where they've struggled, you can go back and find one or two plays where you could say, hey, they gave them a better chance based on what they did. And today that was just completely non-existent.
It's a tough one. And we've been able to take the ball and give it back to Josh to give him way more opportunities. This was blow for blow. And if the other team doesn't mess up, like we have to find a way, and we just didn't find a way.
Well, they needed the swing play. Because the Rams had the swing play with the special teams blunder. The Bills never turned the ball over either. So it was essentially incumbent on the Bills D to regain the swing of momentum back from the punt block, and they weren't able to do it. As bad as the Bills defense played today, Rico, if they were able to have just forced one fumble or one pick, it really could have been a massive difference. They just could not do anything.
And it's not to show, it's not to go without showing, because I saw when these guys were tackling, they weren't just tackling. They were sitting there trying to punch the ball out and do something. They were trying, just too little, too late, and we just couldn't get the job done at the end of the day. We couldn't. We weren't there yet. Justin Tyndall says Stafford went out of bounds. McDermott just goes soft zone, gives them penalty yards back. So McDermott wastes 40 to 45 seconds by taking a penalty. Listen, man, we've talked about it ad nauseum with what McDermott should have and would have done. Had he gone for it, or had he accepted the penalty or not? Bro,
you know what? And you and I said this to you briefly before we started the show. I said, man, we were due for a moment where this entire fan base would sit and eat each other alive. This fan base will cannibalize one another over whether or not McDermott just cost us the football
100%.
game, right? We're going into week 15 and it hadn't happened yet. I mean, the amount of people tonight in here saying, I can't take this stupidity anymore, I'm leaving. Do you genuinely in your heart of hearts think it was that bad of a decision to where you're going to disagree to the point where you got to leave because you don't want to hear the argument on the other end? I'm not sitting here saying that it was the end all be all. But the people that are saying that lost them the football game, that's where you're losing me, because what lost them the football game is giving up 17 yards in 2 plays to allow them to go and score, not necessarily taking the penalty or not taking the penalty. So like right here, Mike, my main man, Mike in here all the time. Mike knows I love him. Z-Bot, you're so wrong. Rams attempt the field goal if McDermott declined the penalty. Every one of you are steadfast in your belief that McVay just trots the field goal unit out there. With the ease in which they converted that 4th and 5, what makes you think that they wouldn't have tried to do the same on the 4th and 7, nor would they have converted it on the 4th and 7?
And I'll push back a little bit on you, because at that point, like I said earlier, it would have been situational. At that point, you're like, okay, 4th and 7. Oh, okay. So what are we looking like? What are we looking like? But I mean, when you look at the bigger picture, it's all the same. When you look at the bigger picture, it's like, I'm going for it no matter what. So regardless, I'm keeping Josh on the sideline. And if I don't get it, I'll live with that. But I'm not going for the field goal. I'm not going like a sucker. I need this. Don't forget, folks, these Rams were 6-6. They needed this win. They're back.
You know, that is such a great point. That's such a great point. I'm so glad. You know, we haven't even referenced that yet. That should be the ultimate argument right there. That should be the ultimate argument right there, Rico, because I think McVay, who, let's face it, the guy became a head coach at what, 30? I mean, he's one of the smartest guys in the league. Crazy. You don't think he knows the way Allen was cooking their ass? You know, if we put up a field goal here, that could be the nail in the coffin for us. So to your point right there, that was a playoff game for the Rams. And I think what you just said is probably what swings it in the other way. I mean, regardless, by the way, it's just the amount of people who are saying it's a guarantee that he just kicks the field goal. I mean, you don't think that there's an argument there? They were nickel and diming them on every damn down.
For sure.
What made you think the Bill? Honest to God, even if it was 4th and 15, Rico. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but that's how much confidence McVay had in his offense today. I don't see why he wouldn't have considered it regardless.
Stafford only had 7 incompletions, folks. 7 incompletions. He was cooking. So it's McVay looking at what Stafford's doing, looking how great his receivers are running the route. And Stafford was averaging 10.7 yards a pop.
I mean, he cooked.
So, like, as a head coach, forget about McDermott. As a head coach, how do you not trust? You don't think that if Josh Allen reversed the roles, if Josh Allen was throwing almost 11 yards a pass, just absolute cooking, you don't think we're going for it when we're in playoff mode? Just go back to 6 when we were 6-6 last year. There was nothing Josh could not do. He was going for it. And everyone knew it was coming. You just couldn't stop it.
Flip the roles. The Bills are in the same spot today as the Rams. The opposing team is the Chiefs. What are you saying today if McDermott did not go for it in that setting, knowing what the inevitable was going to be? You're freaking out. And I think that's all you need to know in terms of probably coming to the conclusion that McVay was going for that play regardless. And at the end of the day, folks, like I said,
you got to look at it that way.
3rd and 17, even if you allow 7 yards, which is a good play in the NFL, you're taking 7 yards every damn down. If they allow 7 yards or less, the Rams do not go for it. They couldn't do it. It was an execution problem far more than it was a coaching blunder, in my opinion.
Crazy. Listen, let's keep it rolling here. Bills, Dan Bills. Hold on. Do we chip? Okay, we're good. Dan Bills says Bills making Puka look like Megatron. Boy, did he ever. He looked good today, man. Can't take away from that at all. Not one bit.
Shout out to being a member for nearly 4 years, by the way, on that one. Shout out to Dan. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate
Dan Bills,
it,
man. We love it. We have honestly one of the greatest supporters ever. We can't stress it enough, man. Richie Fresh, silver lining, 42 points without Coleman and Kincaid. You know what though?
Yeah.
whether in or not, the X factor is Josh Allen. It don't matter. Clearly, it shows it don't matter who he's throwing the ball to. 342 yards passing, 3 touchdowns in the air, and 3 on the ground. 1 goes to Ty Johnson, right? Ty Johnson had a great screen. By the way, shout out to the Bills using a screen in this game and having success doing it. Crazy. But I don't think it matters, right? I think we hype it up too much of having Coleman and Kincaid and all that stuff. Listen, if you look at what Kincaid has done all year, it's been a mediocre year for Kincaid. So, I mean, what are we really talking about here? But would he have made a difference? Who knows? Who really
By the
knows?
way, I don't really care much about baseball, Rico, but a little major breaking news here on the post-game report. Juan Soto, 15 years, $765 million to go from the Yankees to the Mets. Wow. That's crazy. Dude, these baseball contracts, bro, never cease to amaze me, man. Look at those digits, bro. That's crazy.
15 years, $765 million for a guy, and it sounds crazy, for a guy to hit a ball with a bat.
Well, you know what's crazy? When the Dodgers gave Shohei that money, you justify it by saying, well, yeah, he's also like a Cy Young caliber pitcher, too. Juan Soto ain't pitching, and he's making Shohei money. That's crazy.
That's insane. Baseball money? Boy, listen, if I had the hair and that coordination, let's go.
In a different life, Rico, I'm like a classical pianist who's just like playing a music for a living, or I'm finding a way to throw a baseball.
Golly, or hit one, do one or the other. Golly, good stuff. 15 years, 760. Golly, man's almost a billionaire. All right. Justin Tyndall says, hey, Stafford went out of bounds. McDermott just goes off. Okay, I think I read that comment already. Let's roll on down to did you get that one? Like a boss says, I'm sorry, but I'm disappointed with McDermott. Listen, I think half the fan base is disappointed with McDermott, with how they feel about McDermott. But I mean, listen, there's only so much McDermott can do as a coach. The rest of it is what these players do on the field. He calls the plays or Babbage calls the plays. My guys have to execute. Defensively, we did not execute.
Let me ask you point blank. How disappointed are you in McDermott right now? And I'll ask it in a different way. Percentage-wise, how much of that loss do you put McDermott? Do you put on McDermott?
Not high.
Me either.
Not high. Honestly, I'll keep it 100. Not high. Like, I look at this as the play. I always, before I put the blame on a coach or anything, I'm always looking at what the hell was on the field. What did I watch on the field? Right? Because McDermott's sure ain't out there tackling footballs. He ain't talking to the guys with the ball. It's the Rasul Douglases of the world. It's the Matt Milanos that I see on the field. It's the Bernards. It's those guys I see on the field. What are y'all doing on the field? Because it's a mano y mano. Is your guy beating you? That ain't on McDermott. You know the play. Let's go, man. Signified knows.
I've just been waiting for this, guys. I live for this. I've been waiting for the moment this year. I said it. Who was I talking to? I was talking to my buddy Jake, previewing this Rams game, because we were talking about culture builders in the league and how that is a major emphasis that is not emphasized enough by organizations when they go out and they try to hire candidates. You don't factor in what you're bringing to the table in terms of the culture. And that's why when you see guys like Mike Tomlin get called for their job all the time, it happens all the time. We've seen it year in and year out. When a guy has a down game or a down year, they immediately get called for. And we were talking about how guys like McDermott and Tomlin and what's his face from Detroit? Why am I blanking right now? Dan Campbell. Like, you can't replicate what you get from a culture perspective. So I've been waiting, because we were talking about it last week, and I said it is inevitable. It is going to happen. I guarantee you, it's just a matter of when. There will be a moment this year where all of a sudden, even though if McDermott would have won today, he would have become the 5th coach in NFL history to have 5 consecutive 11 win seasons or more, which he will inevitably get at some point by the end of the year here.
Yeah,
go look at the list of characters that are on that list. They're all first ballot Hall of Famers. And I'm not sitting here saying that Sean McDermott is Bill Belichick or Don Shula, but I'm saying that the guy's been a hell of a coach. And it just feels like if today is the bar in which you look at and say that's when we have got to get rid of McDermott, I just don't get it. They just rattled off 7 wins. People were talking about this guy being coach of the year 2 days ago, and now all of a sudden this game's entirely his fault. Come on.
I'm not with it.
And I love you, Signify, but it's not Stockholm syndrome, man. It's not Stockholm. This guy has been nails for this team. There's been a couple of moments, and I just don't think today was that moment.
I agree. I'm going to sit there. Like you said, how much of the blame do you put on McDermott? Not a whole lot. I look at more of what the product is on the field. And for the most part, the product on the field has been fantastic. You all, myself included, have been applauding the product on the field. Today just wasn't a good product. And I'm not going to put it solely on McDermott. I just want
in the chat, by the way, let us know, just with a percentage, a numerical percentage. Let us know today what you found to be the portion of McDermott's role in this loss. Let us know the blame that you think falls on McDermott in the comments.
Great question. By the way, McDermott apparently said wouldn't have been enough time left without taking the timeout. Can't wait for playoff McDermott. So there was explanation for McDermott as a presser. I can't wait to listen to it later on. Hopefully, maybe I can try to catch it right now as we.
Let me just comment on that by saying that that's not the best answer in the world. I mean, that is not a great answer, because there is no right answer for that. That's the answer you give, Rico, when you know that there ain't a right answer, right? The answer would have been, we can't run that play there and we can't call the timeout afterwards. That is the answer. So there you go. I'm not entirely married to the idea that McDermott can do no wrong. I don't love that answer.
No. I mean, listen, and I'm sure there's way more context to it, and I'm sure we'll find out at the end of the day. What is Mitch saying? Mitch saying, hey, by the way, Rico, my mom Renee is listening with me and shouting, yes, Rico. So does the wifey. Hey, constantly. Y'all on a mind, your mind are in sync. BF best channel on YouTube. Yo, Mitch
always, bro.
Mitch always come through. Shout out to my girl Renee. What up, Renee? What up, Nene? Let's go to Tyler Marshall.
Before you talk to Tyler, I just want to say pass interference, defense, and the Chargers are now on the doorstep of the red zone to take the lead against the Kansas City Chiefs. We have Justin Herbert in off the injury. First drive out of the half. He goes all the way down the field on these Chiefs, punches it into the end zone, 13-7. Now a massive bomb down the field. Questionable call, but a call that goes the way for the Chargers nonetheless. And with 5 minutes in the third quarter, these Chargers are on the 35-yard line looking to take the lead on Kansas City. Would make this day a hell of a lot easier to swallow, Rico, if Justin Herbert can figure it out. As he throws, caught, and the Chargers are down to the 10-yard line. The Chargers are on the 10-yard line. Let's go, folks. Keep the energy going. Come on.
Keep the energy going. Who caught the ball? Was it Quentin Johnson?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I got to. No.
He never catches anything.
Smart. You know him? Smart with 2 T's.
No idea.
I don't know.
It's a smart play. Excellent. Tyler Marshall says, hey, he was listening to W550 radio on the way home after the game. Some guy said he was worried that Josh thinks about leaving Buffalo since the defense lets him down. I don't know what GOTY. Oh, get the hell out of here. I don't know what that is. Style of games.
Game of the year style games.
Let me tell you something. I'll answer that right now. Josh says, I ain't leaving until I win the city a freaking Super Bowl. I'm here. This is where I want to be. This is where I'm going to be. We are not leaving until a Super Bowl comes to Buffalo. So those are his words. Whether he decides to change his mind because of this game, highly doubtful.
So you want to know who I think is a caliber of quarterback, or at least discussed in that realm of quarterback that has an argument for this, is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow this year would be probably the biggest undisputed MVP we've ever seen if that Bengals team has the same record as the Bills do, but they don't. You want to talk about a team that has completely wasted a full year of talent. It is the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bills wasted an outing today, and it sucks, and I'm sick about it because they wasted a all-time outing. But the Bengals have wasted an all-time year. How could Josh Allen leave today thinking, man, yeah, I know the year's been great, but today might be the day where I've just had enough. We're never going to get it done. They got a good thing going on over there, and the grass ain't always greener. Ask Aaron Rodgers. Ask a lot of these guys who think the grass is going to be greener and it just ain't. Where is Josh Allen going to go where all of a sudden everything's going to be infinitely better? Nobody's been better than the Bills throughout the last handful of years, then the Chiefs, as the Chargers, speaking of those Chiefs, touchdown LA Chargers, and they are Rico, Quentin Johnson. He is your man in the back of the end zone. That's 2 consecutive touchdown drives for Justin Herbert, and all of a sudden, the 1 seed might be back in play.
Are down. The Chiefs are down 14-13 to the Chargers. Let's go. Let's see if they can try to keep this thing rolling. By the way, Joe Burrow, as we were talking about Joe Burrow, 3,300 yards passing, first in the NFL, 30 touchdown passes, first in the NFL. He's got a 74.3 QBR for second in the NFL. Golly.
And then look at Jamar Chase's numbers as a result, and they have 4 wins, or whatever it is. They have 4 wins.
He's got 3,300 yards passing.
Bro, he has been unbelievable, and nobody cares because they can't win a damn game. Like I said at the top of the show, what you saw from the Bills today is what the Bengals fan base has been watching for 14 consecutive weeks.
Dude. Jamar Chase, 79 receptions, 1,100 yards, first, 13 touchdowns, first, 14.5 yards a pop. God.
I mean, you want to talk about 2 guys that might want to go get a beer after the game and say, man, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
Well, listen, he's as good as gone because they didn't want to sign him to an extension. He's out of here.
And T. Higgins is the other one too, man. Yeah, they're really letting some generational stuff go by the wayside here. Crazy, man.
The Bengals are gonna bungle. I'll tell you that much. 550 radio. So we talk about it. I mean, listen, he ain't leaving. He ain't going nowhere. That's just the way I look at it. Is Josh Allen within his rights to smack the living out of everyone on that defense? Listen, all he has to, he's not gonna say ish to them. They know. Josh doesn't have to say a thing. They know. You let your quarterback down just by looking at the highlights, just by listening to guys like us speak and say, guys, defense, what are y'all doing? You can't sit here and just blame it on McDermott. Every one of those defenders got to come and say, okay, my bad. I didn't play well. If they really were honest with each other, with themselves, they'd be like, yo, I could have done way more. I could have done. Not one of these guys could say, look what you're talking about. I played ball today. None of them. Not one.
There isn't a smack in the world Josh Allen could deliver to that defense that they didn't feel times 10 by Matt Stafford in that game. They have a lot of reflecting to do, and luckily they have a hell of an opportunity to go and rewrite what they just put out there next week.
Well, I'll tell you this, man. The Lions have a three-day game start on them because they had that Thursday night game, so they're going to be coming a little healthier. Randy comes as McDermott taking that penalty, then dropping in the soft zone killed me. Okay, that we read that one already earlier, so they appreciate that, Randy. Like a boss says, I'm sorry, but I'm disappointed in McDermott. Listen, we get it.
I get it.
We totally get it. Phil, member for 14 months. What up, Phil? Says, I know the entire defense was inept today, but where the hell has Ed Oliver gone? Not just this week. The guy's had 2 big plays all season.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a year where you're going to look back and say Ed Oliver, man, really stood out.
Not this year. This year
Once
has
again, I've always felt though, Rico, I feel like we're kind of in agreement with this. It always has felt like this D line is like it's more of a unit than it is a band where one guy's the lead singer. This is more of a band that you appreciate for the collective music that they put out, not necessarily the front man being Bono or Mick Jagger. They don't really have
like
that.
the Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah, exactly. But they really don't have a Dave either. I mean, you know what I mean. Arguably, Carter Beauford would be the guy that you would hope that they have. He's the best musician on the roster. But regardless, the point still remains. It's a team that goes as far as they go collectively as a unit. And today you saw that nobody got home and nobody had an impact on that game.
Love it. I gotta listen. This next super chat. Get your tissues, Bob. This is for you, buddy. He says, before it gets lost, Rico, wishing you and your beautiful family a happy holidays. What a classy guy Randy is. But congrats on marrying a nurse. As a doctor, I promise you could never do better. Happy first Merry Christmas. Hope Bills make it even greater. Great chemistry, both of you guys. Listen, man. That makes my day. Let's shut this whole shit. Let's shut it all down. This is great. Randy, that was phenomenal. Thank you so much for that. Those are kind words, man. And I'm gonna send the love to the family, and I'm sure Bot will send the love to his wifey.
Of course, she always appreciates it. She's asleep right now. She's doing the OT tomorrow. God bless her. So, like you just said, you get a great work ethic type gal, Doc, out of those nurses. But I will send the love along. We really appreciate it. You're always showing love, and man, I always try to say it, but I can never say it enough. You guys are the best.
No questions. Isaiah Monte. What's up, Mr. Monte? He said, hey, what do you guys think about running 3 linebackers? D. Will, TB, and Milano, and then blitzing more so we can actually get pressure on the quarterback, RB. I think our backfield can hold up as long as we can get pressure early. Not a bad idea. There's been conversation amongst Bills fans, Bills Mafia about, hey, man, Dorian Williams has been a pretty damn good player. At one point, he was in the top 10 in tackles, so he knows how to get after it. What do you say with trying to get those 3 guys on the field? At one point, how do you go with putting 3 linebackers? You know that means you got to move Teron Johnson and put him on the sideline. That's too difficult for me to put Taron Johnson. What are you seeing? You seeing something on the sideline?
I'm seeing an interception for the Chargers, but I'm also seeing a flag on the field. Of course I am. Let's see. Mahomes.
Yeah, that's on them. Yeah.
Offside.
Such a dweeb.
So it didn't even have Dick to do with the play. Oh, my God.
He's such a dweeb, that guy. But anyway, big time, Isaiah Monte. I appreciate you. But what do you think, man? 3 linebackers? Taron Johnson on the sideline? Are you with that? Or are you like, nah, I ain't with that?
I don't know. I'm torn because I feel like it's really tough for me, Rico, with this defense. One game sample sizes to me are tough because collectively they almost always do enough to win the football game, especially when you're factoring in Josh Allen. It's these moments where you feel like they costed him that are the worst. But like you mentioned earlier, their red zone D all year has been great. And they've been really solid against the pass, generating a pressure. The Bills have the second most efficient defense in terms of the numbers when they send pressure against the pass, but they've been doing that very solidly without having to blitz. That is why today you saw them get cooked as bad as they did, because when they're not able to do that, it takes away their whole identity. They have done a solid job of getting pressure this year, Rico, sending 4. But the problem is you saw today with that being taken away, they just don't have a whole lot of ability to overcome that. So to me, it's tough to switch everything up when it does work 90% of the time. I just feel like the 10% it doesn't work. It really doesn't work,
It's at the end of the day, we could talk about all the defenses that we can move and this, that, and the third. We have to look at it and isolate this game was not a good one. Not a good game. So to change everything up because of this game, let's pump the brakes just a tad.
Let me give you a perfect example of what I just mentioned here. So based on the numbers for passing efficiency, Bills D versus opponents. So when they do generate pressure, Rico, the Bills D number 2 in efficiency. When they don't generate pressure, 24th in efficiency against the pass.
That's tough.
You are literally going from the top of the league to the bottom of the league against the pass when they can't get home. So that right there And when you do, and the problem is when you have a veteran like Stafford and you start switching things up to really try to emphasize the ability to get home, when you pair Stafford together with Nakua and with Kupp, sending the pressure is probably going to, if he's on, it's going to pick you apart. You saw it today.
You know what? As you were talking for a quick second, I was thinking about, going three linebackers and different, and we made some stops today. But penalties negated our stops. And I gotta share something real quick with you guys. Real quick. And the wifey sent this to me, and I gotta show it to you, because if you guys are like me, this is probably what you sound like. Let me just share my screen real quick. This was me earlier today. All right, and hold on. Let me just take this off so you guys can hear the audio. Can you see that?
I can see it, yeah.
Can you guys hear it?
I forgot about that moment where he
This
pulled
moment
him
here.
back. Yeah, because he had him stopped. I know.
There were moments.
So once again, remember back what we were talking about earlier, the man coverage? Well, there's your man coverage right there. I mean, dude, the guy was on fire today. The only time they ever stopped him at the line of scrimmage is when they did that. Dude, the knee to the your whole strategy there between the crouch to the knee to the standing is elite. I love this stuff.
It's tough. Listen, this is why I can't be I can't do what Pierre does, because I'm not normal. I'm all over the place. I'm probably, and I think of that and I'm like, we had moments where we were there and then we shoot ourselves in the foot. So it's not McDermott. I'm getting myself worked up again. Anyway, but yeah, I hear everything what Monte is saying. We just got to stay the course, brother. we got to stay the course at the end of the day. Signified Note says, Rico, watch the Chiefs play. Can you honestly say to yourself the Chiefs will lose 2 more games when something goes their way every time they need it?
They might lose tonight.
Listen, watch out. And they still got the Steelers to play. They still got the Broncos to play. I mean, listen.
They got Jameis. They got a pissed off Jameis coming off a loss next week. No one wants to see a pissed off Jameis coming.
Watch out, man. Watch out. By
the way, shout out to the Steelers today. I thought the Browns, the way they played them last time, they'd keep it close. Steelers beat the hell out of them today.
They couldn't let that happen. They couldn't let that happen again. They really couldn't. Brandon Wright says that offense is the same offense that Cincy uses to beat us down. Taylor was McVay's QB coach, and our defense ran through like Project Nympho. Yo, you're wild for that. I get it, Brock. I get it.
I don't even know what that is, but it does not sound like anything that I probably should know what it
Project
is.
Nympho, you want nothing to do with a Project Nympho, I'll tell you that. Why didn't Coach Clapp for it, go for it on 4th and 2 with 3 timeouts and about 2 minutes of time to possibly narrow the gap before the half, down by 10? Coach Clapp decided to punt. Josh could have gotten those yards. What say you on not going for it on 4th and 3?
Fair. I thought about it in that moment because I really did feel like the double dip was going to be the Bills' best opportunity to get back into that game.
I was 50-50 on it.
I was too. And I think the reason why you didn't there is because it was in Buffalo territory. If they don't get it, then you really demoralize this team going into the half. So I understand, I guess, why not doing it. But it's so hard for me to criticize this offense, Rico, in that game. But if I had to, man, not generating a single point on that double dip really did them no favors. But I understand both ends of that, but I get why he didn't do it.
No, I'm with you on that one. Andrew, listen, it's tough, but there are some reasons behind it. But I mean, shoot, when you have Josh Allen, you got to go for it. But you got to look at the situation, where you at, what's the juncture of the game. There's a lot that plays a factor into it. Cascom says haters acting like McDermott, who put the Bills back on the map after a long bleak 20+ years. Listen, man, how soon we forget sometimes. How soon we forget. But in the moment, I can understand why people get pissed off. So it's the emotions of the game.
And it's not like we're sitting here saying, hey, how about the masterclass McDermott put on display today? We're just saying, hey, I don't think he was the nail in the coffin today either.
No question about it. Fluffy
everything
Panda
doesn't have to be everything,
Fluffy Panda, 49 months in. Salute to you, my G. We talk all the time, man. So Fluffy says, failed QB sneak felt like Brady getting cute, trying to catch them. Learn from Philly. Just do a snowplow. Just wasn't one play. D and special team failed us. Needed one stop. Sometimes that's what it is, man. You need one stop, and sometimes it fails us. Sometimes it gets us. And this time we weren't able to do it. Forget timeouts. If D makes one stop, we win. Like always. Defense. It starts with D. It starts with the defense, man, and then we go from there. Bartek. We'll know soon enough how much this L affects our season. A loss like this highlights our weaknesses that we can work on until the playoffs go. Go Bills. You're right, man. Sometimes losses like this, sadly, is a blessing, right? We get to clean things up now. We go into the Detroit, and all is forgotten. Like Bot said, if we lose this game but beat Detroit, we're not even talking about what just happened this week. So we got to go out and win next week. It's a must win. That's just what it comes down to. Richie Fresh says, still no firings, 59 inside. Yo, ain't no firings happening, bro. We making it. We going to 59. You guys need to stay on and stream this Sunday night football game.
Yeah, I'll probably, if Rico has to get off, that's fine, but I will probably more than likely be chilling until the end of this one because I love this. Nothing I love more than a little KC on the ropes live on the BF channel.
No doubt. I mean, right now, 14-13 Chargers. For the fourth quarter just started. Casey's got the ball right now. So I mean, you're watching the game right now, right? I'm just going by what's going on right now. So
personal foul on the offense as well for the Chiefs. This will back them up from going into the red zone to being at about, I think now 1st and 20, 2nd and 20.
16.
Oh, was it third?
Yeah, 3rd and 16.
Wow.
3rd and 16, baby. So listen, we've seen that before. 3rd and 16. What will they do? Will they go for it twice? We'll find out. Next.
Yeah, no kidding.
Cody Benz, what up, Cody? Cody coming through and says, I love how for years we've been in the hunt, and we actually have fans pissed about 3 losses. If Josh Allen played like he did last time we lost Houston, then yes, we have a problem. MVP stamped today, boys.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't see any other way anybody wants to look at it, man. 6 touchdowns today that's insane when you think about it. 6 touchdowns, crazy, and we still lose. Wow.
If you do want your silver lining from today, it was just nailed in that super chat. Oh my God. What a defensive play. Oh my God. What a play.
Talk about it.
Play. Xavier. Who is that? So Mahomes, it's 3rd and 16.
Yep.
An absolute dime. Who's number 8 for the Chiefs? Tofu, get down, would you?
Number 8. I'm not even sure who number 8 is. Go on. Keep talking.
So it's a perfectly thrown ball. If he catches it, it's right in his lap. If he catches it on 3rd and 16, the Chiefs would be on the 1-yard line. Unreal play by the D-back, comes in and blows it up, forces the drop, and now the Chiefs are at 4th and 16. But quick, back to that other point. If you do want your silver lining from today, in terms of that loss, Josh Allen did 100%, in my opinion, stamp the MVP. I mean, you're talking about succession here. 2 weeks in a row where the guy comes off a game, a touchdown through the air, through the ground, and through a reception. And then today he matches that with a career high 6 touchdowns, first player in NFL history, 3 on the ground, 3 through the air. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I thought he was actually going to run for it. You know how wild that would have been? I don't think it's ever going to be done again. If he ran for over 100 yards, threw for 100, 340, and had 3 and 3, buddy. I mean, that in itself is crazy enough, first of all. So I don't think we'll probably see that again.
By the way, number 8 for the Chiefs is D-Hop. I guess I didn't even realize that. I'm not used to, he's number 8.
That's a weird number.
Huh, I don't
dropped that. He never drops it.
Dude, it was a hell of a hit. Like it was a hit. That was crazy.
That was a big one. He jarred that thing loose. It's hard with McDermott being a defensive head coach, but there's so many times, Chiefs 2021, Bengals 2022, Ravens 2024, that the defense has completely dropped the ball. I also know that I'm being unfair. Derek, at least you can see, you can sense that and put that out there. So I appreciate you. Juan Castillo. I'm not too worried. First shout out of the year. The team needed to learn from this. Defense will tighten up. Allen with another MVP performance. No question about it. Dude's a stud.
And Juan just hit 5 years on the member. Wow. So that's amazing.
Juan Castillo, 60 months as BF. Yo, Juan Castillo's been watching us for a long time. Wow.
Thank you, Juan.
444 block. 445 block says, yo, put this towards a bigger TV, big dog.
Don't you have an 80-incher?
I said 85-inch. What's this? He's just talking shit right now. He's just talking inch. Let me see what we got here. Yo, but salute to you for that super chat, though. I appreciate that. Shadow Blaze. No team has won the Super Bowl giving up 40 points in a game in the regular season.
Wow.
Just look it up. Eesh.
Well,
I mean,
nothing
that's a
like
good
being the
stat.
first.
That's a
Josh
good stat.
Allen, hey, no one before today had 6 rushing touchdowns and 6 passing touchdowns. Josh Allen just did it. So nothing like being the first to do it, boys.
Sit on that one. All right. Well, listen, super chats are in. Chiefs are up 16-14. Listen, folks, I don't know what I take this as a game where you can't win them all. That's the best way to look at it. You can't win them all. There were some good things done today, and I'd rather lay on the good things because we all know the bad things. But let's talk about it. We saw Khalil Shakir take off to another level today. I love that. It's funny. Not one time did we mention Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir took it to another level today. We saw some great things from Khalil. We hope to see more of that. But more importantly, Amari Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting to see a little bit more cohesiveness within the offense with him and Josh Allen. So is that something we look forward to seeing more of? I look forward to seeing because Arnold's on the Lions defensive backfield. That boy's a holding machine. So if they want to try to play a little man-to-man, Cooper's going to eat that brother up all day. So we shall soon see. But there were some good things today offensively. O-line was solid. Not another sack. Again, opening lanes for Josh to do what he does. We just fell short. This would have been so much greater if we won the game, but we lost. And it sucks. It really does suck. But there were some good things. And I'm gonna harp more on the good things rather than sitting on the crummy, ishy, shittier things. But what about you? What do you got?
Yep, a lot of good takeaways from the offense today. A lot of terrible takeaways from the defense. You can't say it was a wash because it resulted in a loss. You'd be easily capable of saying that, I think, if they found a way to pull it out in the end, but they didn't because it was just that the D, it felt like, was just a little bit worse than the offense was great today. And that wound up being the difference, plus factoring in, of course, that blocked punt. Like I keep mentioning, today sucked. From a defensive standpoint, it was terrible, and it was a real eye-opener in terms of what we saw from these Bills compared to what we haven't seen the last 7 weeks. It was night and day defensively. It was really night and day in totality, allowing a team to dictate the game the way that they did. So like I keep saying, this game happened today. Yes. What are you going to do about it next week? Because you have a golden opportunity to completely flip the script against a team of similar caliber, which many, including myself, would find to be better caliber. The Lions have been playing the best football in the league throughout the full duration of the year, you could argue. So if you go out and have a A-plus performance in that game, it makes this one a lot easier to overlook. If you go out next week and have a similar type game, it makes this game twice as easy to factor into the struggles the Bills might face heading into the postseason. So big game next week, and we're going to factor in our overall view of Buffalo, I think, after that game in combination with this one following the Lions game.
No doubt about it. It's going to be a big one. I know as Bot's going to come in tomorrow. He's got his show tomorrow with the fan base, with y'all, and then I'll see you guys back on Tuesday. Bot, I don't know if you want to continue.
I'm keep it rolling, man. We got 11 and a half. The Chiefs are up 16-14, and the Chargers are driving. I'll keep it rolling. You go get some sleep.
Yes, sir. We'll do this again.
It was good to talk this through. We needed this.
Listen, as much as therapy is, as you guys believe that therapy is for you guys, buddy, trust me when we tell you, talking these out and venting and kind of getting it out there and then talking about it the rest of the week, it's even greater than that, because there are things that we will notice and see along the way. So anyways, I appreciate y'all. You guys know what time it is, man. Listen, go ahead and hang out with my man Bot, and he'll listen. He's great at what he does when it comes to play by play. Hopefully this game goes down to the wire, and there's a little bit of a silver lining for us if the Chiefs lose this game. So you guys have yourself a great night, and we'll catch you guys on the flip. But
much love, brother. Give love to Rico on the way out. Like he just said, we cannot emphasize enough how much the ability to do this means to us after games like that. Of course, this is insanely fun to be able to do after wins, when Rico and I can dance and lament about how great this team is. I mean, nothing we love more, but it's even more valuable to us to be able to come on after games like that and talk them through with you guys. So we appreciate every single one of you, nearly 3,000 of you in here throughout the duration of the evening here. And it always means the world to us, not only the support, but being able to join you guys in collective here and be able to kind of talk through what was a very heartbreaking style loss tonight just because of what you got from the offense and how that did not translate into a W. So we're going to keep it rolling here. It's 16-14. I can't pass up an opportunity to be able to be here live with you for what would be potentially the Chiefs' only other loss outside of the one the Bills handed to them earlier in the year. So here's the situation currently right now. There is 9.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Sunday Night Football in Arrowhead. The Chiefs currently lead the Chargers 16-14. The LA Chargers have the ball. They just crossed over the midfield line, and it is now second down. So they trail by 2. If you haven't been paying attention to the game, the Chiefs at one point were up 13-0. 13-0 in this game heading into the half. And Justin Herbert got injured, and it looked like he could be done. He wasn't. He got up, he got back in there, and he has now led them to 2 scoring drives in the second half that have them within 2. Here's the snap. Herbert under pressure. He gets out of it, scrambles above the line of scrimmage, and it's now third down and about 6 or so. This is a huge third down coming up here as the clock continues to roll. 8.5 minutes left. And it's another one of those Chiefs games, folks. They're all the same. I say it all the time, and you know it by now, but it doesn't matter who they play, whether it's Aiden O'Connell and the Raiders, Bryce Young and the Panthers, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, Joe Burrow and the Bengals are here, Justin Herbert and a division rival in the Chargers. All of these games, for the most part, seem to end up being the same. They're all one-score games that are tight. This game's no different. Here's 3rd and 7. Huge one for the Chargers. Shotgun pass. Snap, throw, caught. Snap, throw, caught. First down for the LA Chargers. A massive conversion. Justin Herbert this year, folks, has been playing some of the most efficient football in the NFL. The numbers don't jump off the page because he doesn't have a ton of touchdowns this year. But his ability, or I guess you could say inability, to turn the ball over has been extraordinary this year. He has 1 interception on the whole year. He has not put this team in position to lose. And with their defense, who has been playing top 3-ish defense in terms of scoring all year long, this is a team right now. They're not great, but they're a team that can be scary on any given week. There is a flag on the field. It looks like a offsides penalty on the Chiefs. So 1st and 10 is now 1st and 5. And that will put the Chargers on about the 27-yard line with 7.5 minutes left. Now, this would be huge. Of course, this would have been even bigger had the Bills found a way to win earlier today. And the Chargers somehow find a way to win this game. Man, the Bills would have had the 1 seed going into the Lions game. But if the Chargers beat the Chiefs here, despite the Bills' loss, you're just back to where you were going into today. So this is massive because all the Bills care about right now is a 1 seed. They don't care what the record is to get to that 1 seed. They don't care how they get to that 1 seed. They just want the 1 seed. And we've never had the 1 seed with Allen. We do not know how big of a factor that could be in them finally getting over the hump. I think personally it would be a huge factor. Just that ability to not have to play that first week, I can't even fathom how big that would be. But I want to know what that's like, and this would be massive. If the Chargers find a way here, it would essentially overwrite what we saw today in terms of the Bills' ability to continue to try and hone towards the 1 seed. First down for the Chargers. All right, I'll shut up and we'll continue to cover this game. First down for the Chargers. It was 2nd and 5. Herbert takes a shot, but he delivers it over the middle to a wide open receiver. That is now going to put the Chargers past the 20-yard line and into the red zone. You got to get 6 here. A field goal will only put you up 17-16. And that, of course, is exactly how the Chiefs win all these games. A touchdown here is huge, especially with the defense the Chargers have. The Chargers have the defense to be able to win this game if they're able to get up more than a field goal here or more than 1 point here. 1st and 10, handoff from the Chargers. Not a whole lot there. It's going to be about a 2-ish yard gain. Clock continues to roll. KC only has 2 of their 3 timeouts. Chargers have all 3. This would be huge. I think we can all agree that this would make us feel a lot better about what we just saw, because I think the biggest gut punch today in the Bills losing that game, once you already have the playoffs secured and the division secured, hard to get insanely pissed, especially when you're factoring in what it was like last year. The Bills have their spot locked up. But the gut punch today was the thought of them losing ground on the ability to pass the Chiefs. This would go a long way towards salvaging that as Justin Herbert takes a sack. Justin Herbert sacked on second down, and now that field goal is becoming ever more likely here. 5:45 and counting. It is now third down and long. Man. Just nobody there in the pocket collapse. He did have a guy. He just didn't have the time. He did have a guy in the middle of the field. All right, 3rd and 16 here. The ball is on the Chiefs' 24-yard line. And they're just going to go conservative with it. They're going to hand the ball off. They're going to get about 4 yards to set up an easier field goal. I don't blame them there. Once again, though, this goes back to what we saw from the Bills game earlier. When you do put a team in position like the Bills did with accepting that flag, putting them in position to face a 3rd and 17, the likelihood that you wind up doing what the Rams did today, it's not that frequent. That's what makes it so much tougher. It makes that decision be put into question. But the reality is the defense could not stop the Rams' ability to move the ball. Here's the field goal, 37 yards. Snaps good, holds good. The kick is up. The kick is right down the pipe. Chargers take the lead 17-16. 4.5 minutes remaining. Chiefs are going to get the ball with 2 timeouts. I will be right back. I got to go to the bathroom terribly, but I will be right back to close out this game, and hopefully we're celebrating. For a day where it felt like we weren't going to have much to be happy about, this would be a huge silver lining. I'll be right back. Give me like 2 minutes. You're on mute, King. There you go.
I was talking. I was like, yo, let me just hang out with the people until Z-Bot comes back, because I was just on my phone hanging out.
And you were on mute the whole time?
Yeah, I'm just hanging out. I'm just chilling out before I go back upstairs. I got to shut everything down. And I didn't want to end the stream with you. So just let my thing just hang on the sideline.
I'm hoping you can find a way here. Go get some sleep, brother.
Yeah.
Man, once again, it's those moments, these moments right there. It's like the Chiefs defense, right? Chargers are set up to go and take a 5-point lead, which would then force the Chiefs to have to go the distance. But now it's just they always make the play. Like defensively, they get the sack there. You force the field goal, and this is how the Chiefs win games. Like I know it seems like impossible every week to try to figure out how the hell they do it the way that they do it every time. And then it's just moments like this. It's like moments that just happened right here. So the kickoff, Dicker, the kicker for the Chargers, he muffs the kickoff. That's going to immediately put the Chiefs at the 40-yard line. This is what I'm talking about. It's always a moment or two in the game because they play in so many one-score games. And it's always these moments. So you just go back to the previous possession. You get a sack. That forces them to have to kick a field goal as opposed to trying and getting into the end zone and making that game a 5-point game opposed to a 1-score game. And now immediately following that, a routine kickoff, you do it 1,000 times a year, and somehow he muffs it. And that immediately puts the Chiefs on the 40-yard line. It's just these moments. It's other teams faltering under the pressure while the Chiefs make one or two more plays in those moments. It's incredible. Like, quite literally a kick, like all the moments this year for the Chiefs. Like the Chargers the Raiders on Black Friday. All you have to do is just go out there and attempt the field goal. Instead, you run a play that was unnecessary with no timeouts. You muff the snap, and the game's over. Plus, you get an illegal formation call that no one's ever seen. The Broncos game, all you have to do is make a 30-yard field goal. It gets blocked. It happens time and time again. So here we go. Wow. All right. So instantly 2 incompletions. So if the Chargers can force a 3-and-out here, the Chiefs would have to punt. It is now 3rd and 10 really quick. Just in my little rant there. It is now 3rd and 10 from 1st and 10. So this 40-yard line thing might not come back to haunt the Chargers. And like I said, with the Chiefs only having 2 timeouts, if the Chargers can string together a couple of first downs, this is huge here, though. It's 3rd and 10. 3rd and 10. Ball on the KC 40. Mahomes in the gun. 2 wide, 3 wide to the right side, 1 wide to the left. Chargers bring the pressure. It gets home, but Mahomes steps up. He throws. Got a man caught. I mean, that's what happens when you send the house at Mahomes, man. 3rd and 10. You just got to get a stop. So it's a beautifully picked up block. Beautifully picked up block by the running back for the Chiefs in the backfield. Was able to stop the free man coming up the middle. Mahomes steps up in the pocket, wide open Xavier Worthy for a first down. I'm telling you, it's just these moments in the game. The first 2 snaps there. You get incompletions. You get them right where you want them, 3rd and 10. And then it's just they make the play. They make the play. Do you send the house there? I don't know. I feel like you're a divisional opponent. You play the Chiefs twice a year. Is it intelligent to send the house at Mahomes ever? I mean, I understand wanting to put him in a tough spot, but man, does anybody pick apart pressure better than him? That was huge. 3rd and 10. Man, I can't tell you how long of a way this will go towards salvaging my day today if the Chargers can find a way to hang on to this. I mean, this would go so far in terms of like helping me get over that Bills loss. 2nd and 8. 2nd and 8. Ball on the Chargers 44. Empty back from Mahomes. Snap. Looks. Steps up into the pocket. He scrambles. Man, first down. Have you ever seen a guy scramble like him where it just doesn't look like anything's going to come from it and he gets 10 yards? Once again, though, look at the, if you're watching with me right now, which I'm assuming you are, look at that play right there from the bird's eye angle. There's not a single person open. There's nobody open, and they have him contained. And then he's just able to somehow step up into the pocket, and it's a first down. You really couldn't have played much better defense there, and they just get out of it. So they're already well into field goal range here, and now it's just a matter of what ends up happening in terms of time. Down to the 3-minute mark here. Chargers still have all 3 timeouts. They're gonna have to keep them. 2nd and 5. It's tough to assume that they don't get a first here. The following set of downs, that to me is going to be the ball game. Second and 5. Ball on the Chargers 29. They're going to hand it off. Right to the first down marker, about a half yard short. So this is the fear, is they're just going to run the ball out. I mean, or they're going to run the clock out here. Harbaugh's taking the timeout now? Oh. I mean, I guess it's all the same. I don't know. I guess it's all the same, but it's 3rd and 1 now. And he burns the timeout there. I mean, either way, it was going to get down to the 2-minute warning, so I guess it doesn't matter, but oh, man. That 3rd and 10 was so big. Giving them the ball at the 40 and then allowing a 3rd and 10, that was just, man. So 2.5 left. Chargers just burned one of their 3 timeouts. Next play will bring it down to the 2-minute warning unless Harbaugh takes another one. Mahomes under center in a power formation. Handed off to the fullback, easy first. Now it's 1st down, and they're just looking to milk clock here. Looks like Harbaugh's going to take that 2nd timeout. Another 1st down that all but seals it. Fuck. So like I showed you earlier, if the Chiefs, so the Bills went into today before the loss with roughly a 48% chance at the 1 seed. With the loss and a Chiefs win, that falls down to about 20%. But if the Chiefs somehow find a way to blunder this in the end here, that percentage goes all the way back up to right under 50%. So the way that this game ends here is literally about it's about a 37 to 38% swing towards the Bills' chances of getting the 1 seed. Because then if the Chiefs win today, you would need them to then lose 2 of their final 4. Plus, you'd also have to have the Bills beat the Lions and then win 3 consecutive divisional games. So this is huge. Now, the Chiefs do have games on their schedule where you could see them, dropping 2, but that would also factor in, like I just said, the Bills will have to beat the Lions, or then you're just banking on what is not going to happen, and that's the Chargers essentially, or the Chiefs just essentially losing out. They got to find a way to keep them from getting a 1st down here, hold them to a field goal, and then somehow Herbert gets them into field goal range. It's just, you see, like, even with when there was like 8 minutes left, with these games with the Chiefs, you just see how it unfolds being written all over the wall. Like, they get into near the red zone, the Chargers do, and they're set up like here it comes. Like, here's the ability to go and score the touchdown and really put the Chiefs in a tough spot. And you go from threatening to do that to taking a sack, having to settle for the field goal, then immediately duffing the damn kickoff, putting them at the 40. Then you get them back right where you want them again. 3rd and 10, you send the house. Xavier Worthy's wide open in the middle of the field. And now they're doing exactly what they want to do. And it doesn't matter whether they win by 2 like they're likely to do here, or they win by 10, which they rarely ever do. They win. And they win based on those moments right there where some say luck, but I often argue it's just execution. And it's lack of execution on the other side. It's uncanny. It's a combination of execution from the Chiefs and lack of execution from their opponent that constantly form the recipe that results in what they've done up until this point, week in and week out. Look at that stat. Mahomes, when trailing in the 4th quarter, 25 and 26, highest win percentage in NFL history, minimum 10 games. So if he wins tonight, he will have as many wins as he does losses when losing in the 4th quarter. That is an insane stat. All right, so here we go. We're on the right side of the 2-minute warning still. 2:26. Handoff for the Chiefs to milk some clock on that first down there, and the Chargers just burned their final timeout. So now there's still 2:26 remaining. You still have the 2-minute warning coming up after this upcoming play here, and it's 2nd and 8. Up to Andy Reid in terms of what he wants to do. I wonder here, if since it's 2nd and 8 and it's before the 2-minute warning, if this is where you try your pass play here. Because if you say it is incomplete, you can still then run a 3rd down play and bring it to the 2-minute warning and get rid of the 2-minute warning. I wonder if this is where you use your pass play here, or maybe you run it here. No, I think this might be where you want to use your pass play here. Let's see what they do, or if they do a pass at all. This is where I would pass here, though, if they're going to. They're not going to. 2nd and 8 handoff. That's going to bring it down to the 2-minute warning. So that's going to bring it to 2 minutes with a 3rd and 7 on the other side of it. So say that they just run it again, which it looks like that's what they're going to be content with doing. That will take it from the 2-minute warning to roughly a minute and 20 seconds by the time the Chargers get the ball back. I mean, that's enough time. You're going to give Herbert about a minute 20. Now, granted, no timeouts, but if they keep him from the first down here, you're going to give him about a minute 20, no timeouts, just having to get into field goal range. Doable. There it is. Bundelruski. Here it is. Everybody's favorite commercial. I actually don't hate this one. Andy Reid's so likable. It's like, this is what kills me about the Chiefs. Like, why can't they be hateable? They're not hateable. They should be hateable. And don't get me wrong, I hate them. But it's hard. I only hate them because of on the field, of how they play. Like the most likable dynasty of all time. That's what is like the biggest issue I have with it. Because the Patriots were so unlikable. You know, like Rich is saying, yeah, it's like, how can you not like Andy Reid? The Nuggies commercial, the Bundelruski, like, how do you not like the guy? The guy literally took a play drawn up by a Kansas City janitor and implemented it into a Super Bowl, and it worked. Like, who doesn't love the guy? It just sucks. I mean, the Patriots were the polar opposite. It was so easy to hate New England. Oh, my God, they basically wanted you to hate them. They were begging you to hate them. The new commercial right now, though, that I hate, like I'm telling you, I hate it so much that I can't even like bear it anymore. I got to leave the room. It is the Amazon commercial. Speaking of the janitor, it's the Amazon commercial where they hear the janitor singing. So they go and buy him a suit coat and then they let him sing on stage. I hate it. It's like, I can't stand that commercial, man. I hate that commercial more than anything right now. I think it's just so patronizing. It's like, oh, just because it's Christmas, we're going to let the janitor sing now? Like, why can't the janitor just sing whenever he wants? Like, why is it got to be Christmas time? And like, we feel bad for him because he can sing and he never gets his shining moment, so we'll give it to him now because it's Christmas? Like, why haven't we done it before? Guy can sing, put him up there. I hate that. Like, oh, feel bad for him because he hasn't been the singer he always wanted to be. Well, why didn't we figure it out beforehand? Guy's got chops. Get him up there. And they buy him a suit from Amazon. Who's buying a suit off of Amazon? I mean, I buy 99% of everything I buy from Amazon. I'm not buying a suit on there. I don't know. I also just don't like the song in that too. In the world needs love. It would be better if it was like an upbeat song. But I can get into this. All right, here we go. 3rd and 7. Mahomes rolls out. They're going to throw. Oh. I hate this team so much. I mean, he just put that dude on ice skates. 3rd and 7, and they do what every team wouldn't have done there. Every team would have just ran it, milked the clock, then kicked the field goal. Nope. Andy Reid rolls Mahomes out. He's dead to rights. He puts the damn guy on an ice rink, and in doing so, opens up Kelsey beyond, I mean, wide open. Little boop, donk. There it is, first down, and now they'll run the clock out, and they'll hit a 20-yard field goal, and that'll be it. Yeah, and as Rev's saying, I mean, Collinsworth's having an absolute episode over it. I mean, you know what? And as he should. I mean, it's an incredible play. It's an incredible play, folks. Take your Chiefs hatred aside. It's an incredible play. First of all, the ball is to even run that there. The ball is to throw it on 3rd and 7, knowing that if you don't complete a pass, clock stops. But then the wherewithal for him to be able to literally put one of the best athletes on the team on skates with a pump fake, not panic, fake that guy out, and then make the easy throw. I mean, it's just, how can you not? You think the Chargers got a block in them? You think the Chargers got a block in them? My answer is a resounding no. That's my guess. Let me know what you think. Got a feeling you're probably in agreement with me. And this is why it's so hard to imagine. This is why it's so hard to imagine the Bills find a way to overcome and get this 1 seed, because they just don't lose these games. And you're going to have to rely on them finding a way to lose 2 of these over the next 4. They've lost 1 of these over the last, 18? So, I mean, even if the Bills win next week against the Lions, I mean, it really did always feel like the Bills were going to have to win out, and then they were going to have to get 1 Chiefs game to go their way. The idea that you now have to get 2 to go your way, I think it's just asking for too much. It wouldn't be asking too much for any other team. It's asking too much for these guys. The guys have lost 1 game in their last 18. And now you're anticipating, or you're hoping rather, that they lose 2 in a 4-game stretch while the Bills also win out. Well, here we go. If the Chargers were kicking this, guaranteed it would hit the upright, or it would be blocked, or something insane would happen. But it's not the Chargers kicking it. It is the Chiefs kicking it. So I anticipate this thing goes right down the wickets. 31-yard attempt. 1 second left. They make it. They improve to 12-1 with a 2-game lead on the 1 seed. The snap's good. The kick's good. The hold. Oh! If they were 2 yards back, if they were 2 yards further back, he shanks it. The Chargers win. The Bills 1 seed chances are resurrected. I can't take this shit anymore. I can't take it anymore. Every week, it's something different. Every week, just when you thought you've seen it all, you haven't. The guy's got a 31-yard kick. It's an extra point, and he drills it off the upright, and it just still finds a way to fall in. Because of course it does. Of course it does. If the Chargers had kicked that exact same kick, I promise you it hits the upright and it bounces out, falls onto the turf, and they lose. You can't make it up. I mean, I can't. When am I going to get, I guess I'll just never, I'll never get used to it. Every week. This team scored 6 points in the second half, still won. 6 points. They scored less than 20 points. They still won. I mean, how many times has this happened this year where the Chiefs have done essentially nothing offensively and still won? Let's just walk through it here. Let's look at games where they've scored 22 points or less. 22 points in the Falcons game. Win. 17 points in the first game that they played against the Chargers. Win. 16 points against the Broncos. Win. 19 points against the Raiders. Win. 19 points against the Chargers. Win. They have 12 wins this season, folks, and nearly half of them have come in games where they've scored 22 points or less. 4 of them have come without scoring 20 points at all. They've won 4 games this year, scoring less than 20 points. I mean, what more can you say? What can you do? Like, I don't even know. What is, I don't know. I just don't know. And you want to sit here and you want to say the Chiefs, like Rich is saying right now. Rich is coming in here on the chat. And Rich is saying Chiefs will not three-peat. Like, I want to sit here and agree with you. You score 19 in back-to-back weeks against divisional rivals, and you score 19 points with the team having an ability to win late, and you win both of them. Think about it. There are 3 of their 4 wins this year. No. Oh my God. I can't even make this up. 4 of their wins this year, the 4 I just mentioned, all 4 of their wins where they've scored less than 20 points are all divisional games. All of them. They beat the Chargers twice, scoring less than 20 points. Tonight, scoring 19. Back in week 2, week 4, scoring 17. They beat the Broncos, scoring 16 with that blocked field goal at the end. They beat the Raiders on Black Friday, scoring 19 with the Raiders being in field goal range and not even getting the kickoff. They have 4 losses this year, scoring less than 20, and all 4 of them have come against division rivals. They have lost 1 game all season long. 5 games of their 12. 5 of their 12 wins have come scoring 22 or less. And we want to sit here and say that they're not capable of doing it. I think that might be the best reason of all to tell you that they are capable of doing it. I don't know how else to put it. I can't. This, though, is the one reason why I've said that I think that the Browns have a chance next week against them, because the Browns play with reckless abandon offensively. They just do not care. Jameis doesn't care. They don't care. Their season's over. I could see them finding a way to put up points. You have got to put up points, because in every one of these games where the Chiefs have scored less than 20, obviously you can't win if your opponent scores more than 20. And they've held these teams to 17 or less every time. Back against the Chargers, the first time they played, they held them to 10 points. Against the Falcons, they held them to 17 points, right? Against the Broncos, hold them to 14. The Raiders, 17. The Chargers, 17 tonight. Like, you have got to go against the team. That's why the Bills were able to beat them. The Bills hung 30 on them for the first time in, 2 seasons? That's the only way you can beat them. If you're going to play a close, low-scoring game, you're going to lose to these guys every single time. I'm sick. What a sickening end to a sickening day. Unbelievable. I thought we had something there, folks. What a fool I am. What a fool I am. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out tonight, folks. We really do appreciate you, truly, more than you know. A lot of love for you. We had just about 3,000 of you in here throughout the entire evening. Too much love for you guys. We need you the most on days like today. I hope that it made you feel a little bit better joining us. It made us feel a lot better joining you. God, I wish we were feeling a little bit better than we already are right now. We're not feeling that good right now. What am I freaking saying? I wish we were feeling good right now. That would have been a great nightcap. Unbelievable. Well, we got to watch it together. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, what more can you say? What more can you say? All right, that's going to do it. You guys are the best. 3 hours in the books. 3,000 of you in here throughout. Can't say enough. You guys are the best. We'll see you tomorrow for the smoke break. Can't wait to talk more about what we saw today and look forward to what's coming up. And that includes a massive, massive game for these Bills against the Detroit Lions. Huge week ahead. Can't wait to spend it with you. On your way out, like button if you could. Subscribe button as well if you'd be so kind. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. We'll see you tomorrow on the smoke break. Until then, much love as always, folks. And go Bills.